Got it around? These mics are live, right? I'm introing. Hey, hello, Katie Wilson.
Hi.
What a pleasure to speak to you again.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I couldn't believe, so close to the race. I feel like Seattle is not covered nationally as much as I would expect for a city of its size and wealth, And obviously, right now, the big focus nationally is Mamdani. There's a lot of controversy over there. Maybe a nice cover, honestly, for some big controversies that have come out about you recently. I was reading an article, and here, hold on. You've read this KUOW article on you, right? This very neutrally.
I did eventually read it. It took me a
You
while,
you,
but
you
yeah.
did eventually get around to it. No, I couldn't believe. I can't do the bit properly. I can't pretend that it's serious. So hold on. Katie Wilson can barely afford to live in Seattle. That's why she wants to be mayor. Is that really a reason?
I mean, it's not really about me. It's about, all of us who are struggling to live here.
That was good. Uh, no, this I read through it and it's like
I mean, it would be a very roundabout strategy to be like, I can't afford to live here, so I'm going to become mayor to make it more
yeah,
affordable.
I tripped over this pothole. I will personally. Yeah, no, I mean it could work, right? I think that actually running a campaign is pretty expensive. My understanding is that it's pretty difficult, but I haven't done it, so what do I know? But so right, it talks. You're running as a working class candidate. You have sympathies with the working class. God forbid. And then there's this paragraph where it says, not included in the narrative, Wilson tells in the campaign trail is how she affords this expensive city. The answer is simple and arguably very Seattle. Her parents, professors in New York State, give her money. And it goes on to say that they help you with childcare costs at length, extensively in this article. The way they phrase your responses to this, when pressed, you admitted. And this was like never a secret?
I mean, I told her. Like, and it's also, I mean, they like, she made it sound like I'm some kind of trust fund kid or something like that. It's like I'm a 43-year-old woman. I've been living in Seattle for over 20 years independently, and before this campaign, I didn't have my daughter in childcare. And yeah, my parents, offered to step up and help with some of those costs during the campaign. So it's like it's not very scandalous, but they tried to turn it into
Oh,
some
it's
kind of
it's
weird.
it's
Yeah,
bad.
I
I
know it's
believe they
bad.
used the term ivory tower in the article. Um, and Bruce Harrell, of course, your opponent, even sent out a mass text. Hold on. From KUOW, Katie Wilson's campaign built around working class identity, but parents pay her bills. Is there a contradiction in those two? I feel like, if anything, that's. I mean, I'm speaking as a 31, soon to be 32-year-old. A lot of people are getting help out where they can. Um, I've noticed this trend with people who are sympathetic to the working class. They run politicians, even pundits, where they have to keep proving it. It's like being a sports fan. Well, are you the biggest Mariners fan? In what way exactly are you working class? Is every moment of your life dedicated to poverty and monastic suffering? How ascetic are you? Do you eat only lentils? It's just like an obsession, right? I feel like a little bit more scrutiny could be paid towards the wealthier people.
I mean, yeah, and I feel like this. I'm an elder millennial, right? I'm like the old end of the millennial generation, and it's like the avocado toast thing, right? It's like we're this generation that at some point realized that we're on the whole less well off than our parents, maybe kind of downwardly mobile. And that's just kind of a feature of where we're at. And so many people receive help from family or friends in some way or another. It's actually pretty normal these days.
It's like really I don't know. It feels to me like it's almost anti attack ad there, where they're like, well, oh, this person who you thought was relatable, did you know that her parents helped out with some household expenses? Okay, I don't know. When I went to a community college, and then I went to a university. And between the two, I saved up for a while, for a year. I worked and I lived with my parents, so I didn't have to pay rent. I saved up.
Moocher.
I know, right? Yeah, it's a working class lifestyle, but he lives with his parents. My mom saved up too. She didn't tell me. When I went off to university, she kicked me some money, go along with me. Really, really, really helped. It helped me, not have to work when I was at uni. Helped me enjoy my time there, get a little bit more out of the lessons. I feel like, I mean, it's such a big class divide that can even be used as an insult. you know?
Totally. And I mean, the incumbent lives in a multi-million-dollar house. He's got, he's a multimillionaire. And I think that's kind of part of what this campaign is about. It's not him personally, but just he's a little out of touch with the situation that most people are experiencing in their daily lives.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all over the country. It feels like, I don't know if I want to say people are waking up, because, you always say that people are getting smarter, and in the long run, maybe they're not. I don't know. We tend to keep making the same mistakes in aggregate, but it does seem like more and more we're being made aware of how big of a difference there is culturally between like the average guy and the average person in Congress or the Senate or even, God, city council in a lot of cities. I mean, even those people often are relatively well-off suburbanites, dictating policy to a city full of people who come from all walks of life. I don't know. I mean, I hope this could mark a change here in Seattle specifically, but also broadly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. I think one of the most exciting things about this race to me is just the amount of enthusiasm, and especially from younger people. I think people are really ready for a different kind of politics, a different kind of leadership. And, I'm coming from being a community organizer, and it's all about participation. It's all about how can we get more people in our city really involved in the governance process and making those decisions that affect our lives. And I think that message has really resonated. And also just the promise that, like, I'm going to fight to make this city affordable, right? Like, we have a housing crisis, childcare is so expensive, groceries are so expensive. And right now, I think what people are seeing from City Hall is just not a lot of urgency around that.
Yeah, I mean, especially not when they're running attack ads like, did you know you're getting help from folks? Pretty normal thing these days. There was another one. Hold on, I have this one too.
Is this just going to be a greatest hits of all the attacks?
It is,
on
because
me?
they're really, really funny. Okay. So this one, I saw this from Hannah Krieg, who runs the what is it? Is it the Burner? Yeah, which lovely local publication, which is this this presser that got sent out. And it was Katie Wilson isn't prepared to lead. It's little snippets from the debate, right? And I love the implication here, where it says. Questions posed. What's the highest budget you've ever managed? And your answer was say around $250,000 or so. How much will your plan cost? How many employees have you managed? And the small text here is no candidate authorized this ad. It's paid for by Bruce Harrell for Seattle's Future, 509 Olive Way, Suite 111. It's this like, I mean, forgive me for reading too much into it, But it seems to me like the implication of these attacks, how many people have you let, Seattle's got a huge budget. Have you ran a budget that large? Is that the only job you could have that would prepare you to be mayor is CEO. That's the only acceptable, like morally acceptable lead up. And anything else, community organizer, activist, even a lawyer, a lot of presidents were lawyers before, none of those would work. It's all just, CFO stuff. It's all like budgetary work.
Well, and it's a very, it's a very inaccurate depiction of what the job of mayor is, right? Like, I can tell you right now, Bruce Harrell's not up there on the 7th floor, like, personally managing 14,000 people. And if he is, like, that's a problem. Maybe that's why it's so dysfunctional up there.
Well, that's
right?
That's impressive. If he was doing that, I would switch my vote. I'm sorry to say, it's a lot of work for one guy. It is. I mean, it's a task of delegation, right? Anything from the president to the mayor, you have to choose the people around you. Do you feel you have good people to choose from?
Oh, I do. Yeah. I mean, since we came out of the primary with over 50% of the vote, we immediately got very serious about planning for winning, basically, right? And so over the last few months, I've been working with a lot of great people, including people who've worked in City Hall for decades, and really mapping out, like, what does that look like? What's the transition process look like? What's a good structure for the mayor's office? How should the mayor's office relate to the departments? Because right now there's just a lot of dysfunction in City Hall. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm very aware that as I assemble my team, as I assemble the executive team and the mayor's office, right, I'm going to need to bring people in with me who have kinds of experience that I don't have, right? And my experience as a coalition builder, as a community organizer, in many ways, I think prepares me better for this job than if I was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, right? Because I have so many relationships around the city, and I really know the landscape in a way that if you were coming in from the corporate sector, from the outside, like, you wouldn't know what you were doing. You would be at the mercy of whoever got your ear. And so, yeah, it's really about assembling that team and making sure that you're bringing in with you people who have kinds of experience that you don't, and that together you have all those capacities and skills needed to lead the city.
I mean, I think that's just it, right? Usually when these people come in, they come in from the business side of things. They're used to working with consultants, lobbyists. This is how you get bills that are like written by corporations and signed off on by politicians. You know, you don't have much like expert insight or input from that side of things, where actual experts get sidelined. You know, I don't. I mean, I can't say I'm privy to the operation of City Hall here in Seattle. I do know that, like, at the very least, in LA, which was the city that I lived in prior to here, you know, which is gridlocked, absolute nightmare city, by the way, would never recommend to anyone. Um, but, you know, nothing ever gets done there. And I think that a lot of that is because you have these conflicting interests, right? You've got the corporate interests and so on. But you also have just deadlocked needs of the people that can't really be argued with, or there would be massive electoral consequences. So nothing happens ever.
And I really think, I mean, this is something where I think this is a really big difference in approach and governing style between me and the current mayor, right? He's a very transactional politician. And I'm not saying that like as a slam on him. I think it's just a fact that kind of everyone acknowledges, including people who support him. And so that means that his style is basically building relationships where it's like, well, I give you this and then you give me this, right? And I think when you look at the way that he's operated over the last 4 years in City Hall, like he came into office wanting above all to be a two-term mayor, right? And so that meant that he put a lot of focus in his 4 years on building that coalition of interests that he thought was going to be able to get him reelected. And in my mind, that's just not a good way to govern, right? Because that means that you're not starting with the vision of the city and the vision of what people need. You're starting with, well, I need these people on my team, so what did they want? And I need these people on my team, so what did they want? And so you end up with this kind of incoherent grab bag of interests that you're trying to satisfy, and you don't end up with a coherent vision for the city. You don't end up with progress on the problems that everyday people are facing in their lives. For me, that is the most important thing. And so when I step into the mayor's office, I'm going to be governing with that vision and with that desire to have everyday people participating in that vision and building it and carrying it out. And the interest thing, I mean, there's always a transactional element to politics, but that's really secondary.
I guess that's what's always gotten me down. I think it's the reason a lot of people have gotten down on, I guess, democracy in general lately. The idea that politics is just for politics. There's not really a point to it. Once you're in power, you use it to, you do what you want, you reward favors. A lot of people, I think, they don't believe in the idea that you can just elect a good person and they do good work, and they do it because they love the city and they care about the people. And to whatever extent it has to be transactional to get stuff done, right? It's still the real world, but at the end of the day, the goals are altruistic. I think a lot of people have forgotten that's even possible. They've kind of like given up on the process,
I think that's right. And I mean, here I just want to give a plug for our democracy voucher program, because I think part of the reason, I mean, there's lots of reasons why our politics is kind of corrupt in that way. But one of the reasons, of course, is how elections are financed. And here in Seattle, we have the democracy voucher program where ordinary people, even if you don't have a lot of money, right, you can contribute to a candidate's campaign through this program. And that's like overwhelmingly how we funded our campaign. And that's really part of the reason why I feel like I'm going to be able to be accountable to the people of Seattle in a way that would be really difficult if I was depending on bigger dollar donations from people.
Oh, and they're going to expect a lot from you too. I mean, if you win, and there's a decent shot you do, the people of Seattle haven't had, I mean, we haven't had a hero mayor in a long time. Certainly not since I came
Do I have
here.
to be a hero mayor?
You get people hyped up. No, look, I've never met a Bruce Harrell fan. I'm sure I've met plenty of people who have voted for him. I haven't met a person who's talked about him. I've met fans of yours, incidentally, not even in the course of my work. People will have high expectations. And I mean, sure, some people get disappointed. You can't give everything to everyone. But do you worry about that? Do you worry about the ability to, even within the bounds of your ability, manage people's expectations about what can be done and how quickly it can be done?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like a really deep sense of responsibility, right? Because I know, like, I walk around the city now and, people recognize me and they're like so enthusiastic and they're like, oh, I just voted for you. And it's like really exciting, especially when it's like an 18-year-old who this is their first time voting or whatever, right? And I know that like people are really putting their hopes and dreams into this campaign. And the things that I want to do, the things that I'm promising to fight for, like an affordable city, right, are not something that's going to happen overnight. And there's going to be big obstacles, and progress in some cases is going to be slow, right? And so I think the challenge for me, and I mean, this is very similar, I think, with, obviously Zohran Mamdani in New York City, is how can we push as hard as we can toward those results that we want to see, and how can we tell the story of what we're doing and why, and the obstacles that we're coming up against, and if things are slower than we want them to be, or we're not able to do something, how do we tell that story and have that be something that people are participating in, so that there's that understanding and that desire to push further, and that kind of political analysis really of what's in our way, and the kind of movement that we have to build on the outside to overcome whatever that is. Because that's another piece of this, is like what I'm able to accomplish as mayor, and what Zoran's able to accomplish, or anyone, coming from the progressive left coming into a position like that, is going to be so dependent on people organizing on the outside and pushing for that positive change. And this is something that I feel in my bones as a community organizer, because all the work that I've done over the years pushing for transformative policies, whether that's raising the minimum wage or strengthening renter protections or taxing the rich, right? All of those things, like, those wouldn't happen unless people on the outside, labor unions, community organizations, organized and fought for them, right? And that's still going to be true. I mean, obviously, having elected officials who want to do good things is a vital part of the puzzle. But that pressure from the outside and that support from the outside is still going to be all important, because you could get someone great elected, but if there's not that movement on the outside, there's not that organizing, then the people who are organized are the people with the money and the power. And so you try to do something good, and they don't want you to do it, like, they're going to be able to use the media, they're going to be able to use your money, and like, you're not going to get a second term, right? And you're not going to be able to get those things done, because they're going to undermine you in every way they can. And so it's going to be so important that people are continuing to do that work on the outside. And I know that, and I think part of my job as mayor is going to be to create that space for that organizing, and make sure that my mayor's office is working with organizations that are doing that work in communities on the outside.
I think I see that a lot. I mean, that's important, the communication. And I see that this disgruntlement, I think, where people get really excited about, voting for you, getting you elected, or any big progressive candidate. And then they're like, I still have to work? I have to keep fighting? I thought we got you over the hurdle. And what I think a lot of people forget, is, like you said, when you have a corporate candidate in power, those guys are working 24/7. I mean, it's their job, right? The lobbyists and the people who do like the oppo work, everyone who supports them, all the people who do like paid contributions, who do these like meetings, that are undisclosed, where they talk about mutual interest, the transactional element of the job, that's 24/7. They're always working, I feel like it's because it's invisible, or at least you see it through like financial disclosures, it's just numbers. You don't see it out in the street. So it feels like we're the side that always has to put in the work, And I think a lot of people get discouraged. They think like, oh, it's always an uphill battle, There's never an end to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's like the slogan of my campaign is "This is your city," right? And there's like different meanings to that. And one meaning is like, this is your city, so you should be able to afford to live here. Your government should be working for you, should be delivering results for you. But another meaning is that, like, this is your city, so it's also your responsibility. Like, you're also part of it. You're also someone who has to step up and help to make it work. And so there's that kind of two sides of that for me.
People often feel very disconnected from local government. I think in a lot of ways it's less democratic than national government, because you go online, you read the newspapers, you always know what the president's up to. Congress and the Senate, everyone pays attention. I think a lot of people have no idea what goes on at a local level. It's functionally invisible, which makes it, kind of undemocratic in practice.
Yeah, I mean, that's why like good local news coverage is so important. And that's why having communities that like talk to each other, community organizations that help to keep their members or their constituents in the loop about what the government's doing, like all of that work, that like civil society work, that community work is so important, because if people don't know what's going on, then how can they participate? How can they actually make a difference?
Speaking of help from outside, I was actually curious, how much communication have you had with the Washington State Democrats? Has there been much play-by-play there? Have they been, since you won the primary, at least they got to take you seriously?
Not really. I mean, like, I know lots of Democratic Party, like politicians and elected officials, basically, right? But not like I wouldn't say that like the party per se I haven't sat down with anyone from the party in some kind of official capacity.
Do you think they're waiting for the general to finish so they can see how it all plays out, or
I'm not sure that that's how politics works here.
Okay.
I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe I'll get like a very
No,
important,
I'm
we'll
taking
get a
it from
very
you. I
important
got
phone call after the election. But yeah, I mean, I think, because these are nonpartisan races, and so it's not like I didn't run in a Democratic Party primary or something like that, right? And so it's a nonpartisan position, and I mean, the Democrats kind of have a lock on politics in
yeah, they're
Seattle
pretty
anyway.
well.
So yeah, I don't know. I haven't like seen the Democratic Washington State Democratic Party kind of like act as an entity in this race. I mean, of course, I got sole endorsements from all of the legislative district Democrat groups in Seattle, and so those are every legislative district has a group with membership of folks in that district, and so I went through all of their processes and know the leadership of a lot of those groups.
I just know you're going to need, of course, cooperation from the state, and with all the threats going around, Trump saying he'll remove federal funding grants to blue cities who disobey
Oh, and
him.
yeah, I mean, it's like if assuming I win this race, right? Getting on the phone, building those relationships with the governor's office, and I mean, already have relationships with a lot of state legislators, but deepening those relationships is going to be super important because yeah, we need that tight coordination from the get-go.
All right. Do you intend to annex Bellevue?
Not sure that's within my power, but I would be very supportive if people in Bellevue wanted to pass a tax on big business, kind of like we have in Seattle. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And probably good for Bellevue, honestly, as well.
Yeah, they were hit recently. Those Amazon job losses, probably disproportionately. What was it, like 2,400? Something in that ballpark, I think.
In
just
our
the other day.
area, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of tech layoffs at the moment, and yeah, Amazon being a big recent example.
What do you think the future for the city is, like economically? Because right now, obviously, like a big tech city, we've been seeing mass layoffs in that sector due to AI consolidation. Who knows what they're up to? Do you think that Seattle might fall on hard times as a consequence of that?
I mean, I do think there are big, important questions about the economic future of our city and our region that the city needs to be a real partner in like helping to figure out. We really have been riding this tech wave for the last couple of decades, and I think there's been an assumption built in also to the way that city government works that that's just going to continue, right? We're going to just have more and more and more tech jobs, and obviously the tech industry is going to continue to be an anchor of our economy, right? And we want that, we want those jobs. But I think that there are big questions with AI, right? And seeing these layoffs happen, I don't think we can assume that it's just going to be like grow, grow, grow forever and ever. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's really it's going to be important to look at other directions that our economy can develop. And I'm really interested in having Seattle be more of a leader in the green economy. Are there ways that we can encourage, alternative energy investments here? Like working with the port, can we have Seattle become a place where we're actually building like hybrid electric vessels, right? Like there are cool things that I think that we can do. And I think that's going to be a really interesting conversation in the years ahead because we want this to be a place where we have good jobs and and we should be like thinking about what that looks like.
It really does feel like a city with an infinite potential.
Mhm.
We've got the big ones, right? Access to sea. We've got lots of land around, but like just in terms of the natural environment where we're positioned on the West Coast, it always seemed kind of a waste to me. I guess that like you think tech, you think San Francisco. There's a lot of it here in Seattle. There's the old old Google building up in Fremont, all the old Microsoft Center, and they got the Amazon bubble downtown. You see it all over the place, and I'm glad that people locally are being provided jobs, even if now they all live in Bellevue, which should be annexed to because they're taking our jobs. Um, but it has always felt odd to me. I guess I know a lot of people come up here to study natural sciences, for example, right? Because what a beautiful place to do it. Yeah, green energy sector. That'd be a nice way to go about it. Whatever's viable.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I've had such a difficult time, I think, staying optimistic about the ability for um, uh, you know, legislative solutions to manage the problems that American cities are going through. It seems like there's this general downward track of urban decay all over the country, right? Especially since COVID. And I know some cities have managed to tick upward a little bit. I know that this is for a lot of people, almost like the main thing they vote on, right? The idea that there's something fundamental to these cities that has been lost or is eroding. There was a question I saw pitched to you recently that got some kerfuffle about homeless encampments in parks, which I think that probably at this point no one in America is stranger to, but especially here in Seattle, we've always had a decent number. And well, actually, I guess I'll just ask you directly. What would you do as mayor about you've got camps pitched in Cal Anderson? What's your approach to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We need a lot more emergency housing and shelter. We need places that we can actually navigate people to inside, because what, Harold's administration is doing is, pretty aggressively sweeping people from place to place, but without meaningful offers of shelter and support. And this has been documented extensively. There's some really good Seattle Times coverage of this. And also, it's like you don't need to read a Seattle Times article to know this, because you just talk to people and you just look around, right? And it's been actually one of the surprising things about this campaign to me is the extent to which, as I talk with people around the city in different neighborhoods, residents, business owners, like people see what's going on, right? They're like, okay, there's an encampment here. The city's going to sweep it. It's going to just, these people are going to move to the next neighborhood and then they're going to be back here in a week. And there's this palpable frustration with how this approach is not working, right? And so we desperately need to open more emergency housing and shelter. This can be tiny house villages, micro modular shelter. I've got a proposal around trying to get some folks into vacant units in our affordable housing sector. We just need to get people inside, right? And so, I mean, absolutely, people have an expectation and desire that their parks are clear and available for their intended use, and that makes sense. But like, we have to actually be getting people inside, because it's just not working what we're doing right now.
You ever feel like this is the main thing that people vote on sometimes? I mean,
Oh yeah, I mean, I really think that homelessness is probably the top thing that people are voting on right now. I mean, there's affordability as well, but yeah, I mean, homelessness. And when I think about my administration, right, I know that regardless of what all I might want to do, right, the number one thing that I'm going to be judged on is whether I'm able to move the needle on homelessness, whether I'm able to dramatically reduce the number of people who are sleeping unsheltered on our streets.
Yeah, it's a tough issue. I know it's also like across the board, the entire United States is.
It is, but Seattle's a national outlier. Like we have,
For sure.
I was just looking at it today. Like if you look at our homeless population, like 58% is unsheltered. Compare that to Boston.
Ooh.
So Boston has a lot of homeless people too. 6% are unsheltered. So just in terms of the number of people who are sleeping outside with nowhere to go, we are just off the charts compared to comparable cities, other deep blue cities in America.
Okay,
so we are doing a
I
very
actually didn't
bad
know-
job here.
I didn't
Yeah.
know it was that bad.
It's that
I actually
bad.
didn't know it was 50.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yes.
50.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, fun stuff, huh? Here, I'm getting told that we have a finite amount of time. Is that right? Hey, just want to say it's been a delight to directly pitch questions to you. I really hope you get it.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I think I'm hosting this. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask our fine mayor to be, hopefully crossing fingers, then please put your hand up.
And you'll be on stream. Reminder.
Yeah, that too. Hit it.
Oh yeah, I'm speaking. So I'm from Romania, and earlier this year they had a pretty big election between like the fascist guy and the center left guy, and the center left guy ended up winning, and then everyone forgot about him. Like I have not heard of anything he did in the 9 months since he took office. So I guess my question is, what are you planning to do? Like if you win, how do you plan on staying relevant and like in the public eye?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I guess the shortest answer is I really think, and again, coming from my perspective as a community organizer who cares very much about people staying involved, being involved, I really want to find a way to have a different kind of relationship with the public. And, I think about the way that we've done my campaign, right? And it's funny because before I decided to run for office, like I'm not a social media person at all. But, with the help of my team, we've been using social media and I think fairly effectively, right? And so we talked a little bit before about kind of telling the story of the administration, the things we're trying to do, like showing the success that we have, showing the obstacles we face. And so I really want to find a way that we're doing that publicly, right? And so that could mean, putting out regular videos, having, regular press conferences. Really, often mayors kind of hide, right? Like, and they don't want to be in the news because, what if it's bad news? But I really think that being out there and trying to having this both this kind of educational function of like, here's how government works, here's how we're trying to work for you, and having that be a two-way street where people are also invited to keep giving feedback, giving ideas. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I really want to figure that out because I think it's important.
All right. You.
Hi, my name is Scott Aldridge. My question is on revenue, specifically the relationship between Seattle and Olympia. Do you think Seattle has adequate taxation tools? And what do you think Olympia could do to help Seattle out?
Yeah, great question. No, we don't have adequate revenue tools. And as you probably know, we have the second most regressive tax system in the country now here in Washington state. And that's largely due to the fact that we don't have state and local progressive income tax. And I believe I saw recently, I think that some of the legislators might be proposing an income tax on millionaires in the next session. So that will be really interesting to see how that pans out. But that's really kind of something that we need. And that would also give Seattle the opportunity to use that tool here locally. So as mayor, I will absolutely be working with our legislative delegation to fight for that, to ask for that. And there are other tools, too, that I think Olympia could give us. Another thing that I support, so we have the Jumpstart payroll expense tax here, right, which is our tax on wealthy corporations. In the last session, there was kind of a statewide version of a similar tax proposed that would have included a credit for Seattle businesses that pay the Jumpstart tax. And that's a really good idea because it would basically level the playing field a little bit so that there wouldn't be this huge difference between the tax environment in Seattle and in Bellevue, because we have seen, Amazon and some other companies potentially moving some jobs over to Bellevue to avoid that tax. So there's a ton that Olympia can do. And, I'm a big believer in progressive revenue and really looking forward to working with Olympia to try to get more tools.
How about you?
Hi. You yourself have even noted that we have a notably more conservative city council since the prior rotation, namely with Morales and Nelson. If you become mayor, how do you project your working relationship to be with them, and how do you plan to handle any sort of obstacles or headbutting that may come in contact with them?
Yeah, great question. And, of course, we will have some turnover on the council for next year, right? I think that Dion Foster is overwhelmingly likely to be replacing Sarah Nelson. And then we'll have a new District 2 council member as well, likely Eddie Lynn. And Alexis Mercedes Rink will be reelected. So, I think even if we don't have a super strong progressive majority, I really do think that we can make progress on some issues. And if I prevail in this race, I think that's going to send a pretty strong message about the way that things are going, the way the wind is blowing, what voters want right now. And so I think that might make some of the other council members who have been taking some pretty conservative votes recently, that might soften them up a little bit to moving in a more progressive direction. So I think that we can assemble majorities on some issues. Of course, we're not going to be able to get super transformative progressive legislation passed at least until 2028, I guess, after the district council elections. But I really also think that on homelessness, all the council members genuinely want to see progress. And so I'm really hopeful that I can establish good working relationships with all the council offices, even if there are things that we are not aligned on, and we can make progress on that and some other issues.
Oh, please, right up here. With the red shirt.
With the scary stuff going on with the Trump administration and ICE, I was just wondering, what would you do to counter all the chaos?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a vital question and a big question. I think the first thing is to make sure that we're all united. And when I say we all, right, that means the city government, the mayor's office, working with the city attorney's office, and being kind of fortifying our constitutional shield and being ready to file injunctions, to fight whatever's coming down the pike legally. And also it means the city working really closely with advocates and organizations, right? And definitely the Washington Immigration Solidarity Network and all the groups that are doing the hard work of protecting immigrant communities, making sure that the city's supporting their work, right? Funding legal aid, funding other forms of support. And also that all of of us, right, in the event that Trump does send federal agents or federal troops into Seattle, that we're prepared for that, right? That our police have been trained and are protecting us, and that all the folks who are going to stand up and protest know how to do that safely, and that we're de-escalating and trying not to give Trump those fireworks that he wants. So there's like a lot of aspects of how we prepare. But yeah, I mean, I think we do everything we can to prevent that from happening and to not make Seattle an attractive kind of target. But also we have to acknowledge that like it might still happen, and we have to be prepared for that eventuality too. And of course, you know, working with the county, working with the state. So just and also learning from the cities where this has happened, right? And having those strong relationships with the mayors in LA and DC and Chicago and all that.
Oh, somebody's being pointed at. Please.
Hi.
Howdy.
So I was thinking, with the homeless population, I know like getting people into housing is really great, but I also know that takes time. And I was thinking about specifically the World Cup next year is going to be in Seattle, and I know because I've seen it in the past when like a lot of big sporting events are happening, they tend to also try to sweep a lot of homeless people out. Is there a plan? At least, is there an idea of a plan in place so that we don't basically have to sweep a bunch of people out of Seattle because that's 7 months away? Trying to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, exactly what you just said, right, happened when we had the MLB All-Star game here, right? And they basically swept everyone out of downtown, but that just pushed people to other neighborhoods. So we don't want that to happen again. And so that's really, I think, in terms of implementation, that's going to be the top priority for the first 6 months of next year under my administration is how do we make sure that, there's going to be immense pressure for downtown and adjacent neighborhoods to be clean and welcoming, et cetera. So how do we do that and actually get people inside? And so I think my goal would be to stand up several new tiny house villages in that space of time, and also open up some indoor space and like as much as possible get the folks who are downtown inside with shelter or with the services and support that they need. So I mean that's going to be it's an ambitious goal, but like we absolutely have to do that because it's just not. I mean it's really harmful for the people who are sleeping outside, and it's not fair to the other neighborhoods if we're just sweeping people around.
Please, right ahead.
Hi, I'm Josh. I've been thinking about the rising cost of childcare lately, and I believe I saw on my ballot recently that there's a measure to get 600 new subsidized childcare slots, and that's a great start, but it feels like a baby step in the right direction. I don't know if you have a plan to potentially expand on something like that in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're referring to is the Families Education Preschool and Promise Levy, right, which is also on your ballot this fall, and I definitely encourage people to vote yes on that. So that will somewhat expand the kind of subsidized childcare that the city provides to folks who are, qualify. There's a number of qualifications to kind of participate in that program, but it is a baby step. And yeah, so there's a number of sides of the childcare crisis. Like as you probably know, it's both that it's totally unaffordable for families who want to put their kids in childcare, and childcare workers get paid very low wages, and so it's just the whole industry is in crisis. And basically we need to be treating childcare as a public good, and we need to be funding it as such. And so part of it is going to be how much money can we come up with here in Seattle to further subsidize childcare? So that's one reason why I'm so big on progressive revenue, because I know that in order to make real progress, we are going to need to raise new revenue. There's other things the city can do too beyond just finding more money to subsidize it, because it's also a matter, like it's hard to find locations that are appropriate for childcare facilities. And so if the city, because there needs to be outdoor space and there's a lot of regulations, rightly so, right, around what that space looks like. So if the city can do more to make sure that, for example, when we're building a big new building, right, that we have space for childcare in that building, right? And I think working with like downtown property owners and employers, like can we get more childcare facilities downtown so that as workers returning to office or whatever, right, that there is childcare there for them, and just making childcare more available and assisting people who are trying to start childcare centers, whether that's in-home childcare or a larger center. That will also help to bring the price down just by having more availability of it and having that kind of technical assistance or assistance finding space. So it's kind of a big thing, but I really want to convene people who know the sector and come up with a roadmap and hopefully be able to do tackle some big pieces of that, like in my first term. Another thing I've talked about on the campaign is free K-8 summer care. Because you're a working parent and you have a school-age kid, and then school lets out for the summer, and like, what are you supposed to do with your kid, right? And so if we can work with our community centers and provide more summer programs for free or cheap, then that's another good thing we can do too.
Oh, the hand up in the back, wearing a blue or a black long sleeve. Yeah.
What do you plan to do about the federal welfare funding crisis that's about to happen?
You're talking about SNAP. Yeah. Right, good question. And I mean, I support the things that the current mayor and the city and the state are doing to try to compensate for the potential loss of SNAP benefits, right? So I think the city's making available like $4 million for like local food banks. There's a lot of efforts, obviously, right now to bolster funding and support at local food banks and other kind of food security programs. So I support all of that. I mean, I think another thing, just thinking about food security more broadly, because even not thinking about the SNAP benefit cuts, right? Food insecurity has been going up and up as just groceries have been becoming more expensive. And this is kind of coming out of the pandemic. And if you look at the amount that people actually get in their SNAP benefits, $6 a day or whatever, it's just like, it does not go very far. And so our food banks and other food security programs are really overstretched. One thing that I've been thinking about that was suggested to me by some people who work in the kind of intersection of food and education is that the city might be able to guarantee like free school meals for all kids, right? Kind of layering on top of the existing federal and state programs. And that would actually be a fairly low cost intervention that could just really improve the situation for families with kids in Seattle.
Oh, to the gentleman in the coat.
Yeah. Hi. It's Benjamin. Thank you again for joining us. I just have a quick question on about like the street cleanliness. One thing that I've noticed, I've traveled to Europe, and one of the things that people really talk about is that they just feel a lot of pride in like the how their streets are clean, and they talk about how it informs their behavior and it makes them a lot more protective, but also feel a greater bond. It's just something Europe does more of in general. Do you have any plans or any hopes or aspirations for like, I don't know, like a fleet of street sweepers or something maybe more manageable?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think the first thing I think of is just going to the cause of lack of cleanliness on our streets, and I think our unsheltered homelessness crisis is a big part of this, right? When you have so many people who don't have space to, like public bathrooms, right? Like we have just too many people who are living outside right now. And one of the results of that is a lot of, lack of cleanliness. I mean, the amount that the city spends just like cleaning human feces is quite kind of a lot, right? And so definitely providing more public bathroom facilities is a high priority for me. I'll have to dig into like what the city currently spends and does in terms of just direct street cleaning. But yeah, I would like a cleaner city too. And I would also like, homes for people to live in so that they're not forced to perform basic bodily functions outside.
If I could add just really quickly, I want to say, I think this is also one of those like faith in civic democracy issues where the more a person cares about their neighborhood, the more they want to see it cleaned. I remember my parents telling me when I was growing up, the neighborhood they lived in, they were in, Georgia, Texas, or whatever. But like people would clean up the trash off their own street because it would blow in. There wasn't that much of it. Once there's too much of it, it feels like you're fighting too much of an uphill battle. People stop caring, and then the issue gets monumentally worse, again, I grew up in LA. I've been to cities much dirtier than Seattle. But you can tell when you're in a neighborhood where everyone there, keeps it kind of nice, and they've got like, a bench outside their front lawn or something, and they've been sitting there for 40 years. Just, it feels nice to see people invested in their community. So
yeah, no, and I do have some ideas around how we can get more like people participating in cleaning up their neighborhoods. But you're totally right. It only works when it's at a certain level, right? If it just gets too bad, then people like just kind of turn away from it, and they're just, it's not something they feel. Yeah, but it would be great to have a situation where more just like people. I mean, I'll say like with the Transit Riders Union, right? One of our longtime founding members, Pauline, she has this persona, the Transit Fairy, and she just like spends all of her time cleaning up garbage near transit stops, and she's just like so diligent about it, and it's just amazing. And she's not deterred by the levels of filth, but yeah, she just spends all of her time cleaning up, and people really appreciate it. And
She's
it's just,
stronger than us.
She's stronger than us, exactly. And yeah, I would love to create a situation where more people around the city just feel that sense of ownership, and will just like pick up trash on their way to the grocery store or whatever.
That's hero stuff, really. No, I mean, that makes a real difference.
Yeah, she's like a saint.
Oh, okay. Green hat. Or blue hat with green brim.
Thank Bench for that. It's a bit of a strange design, but I do like it. Hi, I'm Jenny Olander. I'm the community manager for Progressive Victory. My claim to fame is that Hassan Piker butchered my name live on stream. I am not a native to your fine city, although I have spent the last few days here, and it has been absolutely wonderful. I was wondering, the urbanism here is far beyond anything that I've ever seen or lived in. And I was wondering what kind of messages you would have to mayoral candidates, say, in the Midwest, in the second biggest city in Nebraska, what they could do to maybe have some more urbanism and faster buses, maybe a potential light rail system.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear you say that, because I think we have a great urbanist community here, and I think if you ask people here, they will be able to point to many other places where they feel the urbanism is better than it is here. So maybe the grass is always greener. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'll say a big factor in urbanism is density, right? And the more housing we have, like the more people are living in the city, the easier it becomes to do things like provide great public transit and other urban amenities. So yeah, I don't know, maybe like zone for denser housing. That's not really good advice for like individual activists. But I mean, I guess I'll say, so like I've spent my career, I co-founded this organization, the Transit Riders Union, and we fought for better public transit, more affordable public transit. And so yeah, you like get together with other people in your city and find, whether it's public transit or walkable neighborhoods, like find something to fight for and go and hound your elected officials until you get it.
There are so many like American small town, like the old town area of every small town. It's the one street that goes through, and it's actually like nice, old but nice. It's crazy. We just forgot. We forgot how to do that. You can see like the remnants of brick row houses, and then you've got what used to be a saloon and everything, and then everything around that is like suburbia, one house per square mile.
Yeah, I feel like one thing we really need to relearn in the U.S. is just like mixed use, right? Like what the magic that happens when you have like residences and small businesses and parks, like everything is just all mixed together. And that's part of what like makes New York City such a great city too, right? Is you just like every block is like its own city where just everything is happening.
And it's what a lot of people love about Capitol Hill as well, where you can have a park and a single family residence and a big apartment block all together, right next to each other. And it's probably the main reason why that's the most lively neighborhood, Stuff to walk to. It's dense enough the businesses can afford to stay open based on foot traffic. You don't got to drive there, so less parking lots. Anyway, imagine a lot of the people here are fans of urbanism as well. They've probably heard the spiel before, but it's important. It's important to talk about. Here, all the way in the back. Oh, got it. Yeah.
The people got here.
Testing. As our city's public transport improves, do you have any plan to coordinate with the surrounding municipalities, for people commuting in, whether for work or any other reason, to get, just better coordination within the region itself?
Yeah, and actually this like a little bit of history. So back in 2014, there was a funding measure on the ballot countywide, a King County funding measure to fund King County Metro Transit Service. And it was on like the April ballot. It was a sales tax, unfortunately, right? A regressive, unpopular tax. And it failed. It failed at the ballot. And so what happened was that the city of Seattle decided to go it alone. And so that same fall, there was a City of Seattle ballot measure to fund transit service that passed. And then Seattle used that money to basically purchase service from King County Metro. And so that's what we've been doing since then. That measure was renewed in 2020. But what that's meant is that we've been, adding bus service, improving bus service within the City of Seattle, but the rest of the county, not so much. And so what I would really like to do is work with the next King County executive to chart a course to another regional measure so that we can be improving bus service in a coordinated way across King County. Because especially as the Link Light Rail system, right, is expanding and we have stations opening up around the county, like we really need more bus service, and we need to make sure that we're doing that coordination because, yeah, it's a region, right? Like so many people who work in Seattle live in South King County or even in other counties, right? And so we absolutely need that kind of coordination.
We got just time for one more question. The powers that be, but 3 more. Well, I can't read at a distance. You've got the mic.
Yeah. Hello. I'm one of the Washington State leads for Progressive Victory, and we have a great group of people, volunteers here that are going to go canvassing after this. And then you obviously are the co-founder of the Transit Riders Union. So I was wondering how you could use these volunteer groups going into your mayorship to kind of bolster your power and make sure that your priorities are getting done.
Yeah, great question. And I mean, I think there's a lot of pieces of my platform of potential legislation I want to put forward. I mean, maybe to just give an example that's related to public transit, right? I would love to see the city pass a law which would require at least large employers to actually subsidize or pay for transit passes for their workers, right? Because the situation right now is that if you work for a big tech company like Amazon or Expedia, right, you're going to get a fully subsidized transit pass from your employer as like a perk of your job. But if you work as a Starbucks barista or a checker at Whole Foods, right, you're not going to get anything. And so I think this is like a great thing to put forward, but it's only going to work if we have people, like I said before, kind of providing that pressure from outside. So what I envision is working with organizations like yours and other community groups and labor unions, identifying like what are those policies that they feel that you can organize around, right? That's a hot issue for your members. That's something that you could get out there and knock on doors and talk to people at light rail stations that people would want to see happen. So to put something forward in a way that then provides an opportunity for you all to go out and help to build support for it, right? To help to get write letters to the editor, get pieces in the paper about how people are clamoring for this. Come and testify at a city council meeting, write emails to your council members, right? So doing all those things that help to create that sense of public support and inevitability that can help us to get legislation like that across the finish line, and also open to ideas, right? So if there are issues that are hot for your members that you feel like this is a really urgent thing that the city needs to tackle, right? We'll have that two-way communication so that we can maybe take those things up.
It's huge here, especially too. I mean, the light rail does a pretty good job connecting the community. When they finally connect the light rail line across the 90, what line is that going to be?
You mean like the line going to the east side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one? They haven't opened that one station. I was waiting on that for ages and ages. Well, anyway, I mean, it's easy to get in Seattle via rail, very easy compared to a lot of other American cities. So it's just a good opportunity here. I didn't see who went up first because I was busy yapping. Oh, over there? Yeah, with the pride hat.
Washington team, and I had a question because one of the projects that we are talking about a lot and are likely going to be working on after your election is Whole Washington. And I was wondering, is there anything that you can do with the mayor's office of Seattle to sort of throw your weight behind that project, which is, of course, pushing for universal health care throughout the entire state of Washington?
Yeah, I've personally endorsed Whole Washington, and I know that a lot of members of the Transit Riders Union are excited about it and have helped with various of their signature gathering campaigns. I don't know specifically, but I'm certainly open to that, right? I mean, I think that healthcare access is going to be already is a huge issue, and it's going to continue to be a huge issue in the years ahead. And I mean, I personally right now, I purchase health insurance through the exchange, through the Washington Health Plan Finder or whatever, and I know that premiums are just jumping way up.
Oh yeah, especially right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then of course there's the danger of people being kicked off Medicaid, right? And so I would hope that, first of all, just that healthcare access is going to be a really top issue in the legislative session coming up. But yeah, obviously what we actually need is universal single-payer healthcare. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like, but definitely game for trying to use my position in the mayor's office to advance that.
All right, and this time for real, we've got one more. And how about you in the front?
Okay. I just wanted to ask, if you are elected mayor, what will you do to protect Seattle citizens from ICE?
Yeah. So, ICE activity is likely to keep ramping up. And the first thing is to really be working very closely with all of the organizations that are rooted in immigrant communities that are doing the hard work of making sure that people don't have to attend immigration hearings alone, right? And doing support for immigrants and their families, like when a detention happens. And so the city needs to be a partner in that work, make sure that we're supporting, funding legal aid, and also making sure that that our police department is protecting people. I was talking to some folks at educators, and they're all worried about their students and the security of their school buildings, right? And so they have a policy of not allowing ICE in, but like who's going to enforce that, right? And so how can we make sure that our police department is really protecting people? I support a lot of the things that the current administration is doing along these lines as well. We can't have masked, unbadged ICE agents just kind of yanking people into vans. So we need to do everything we can to prevent that, including, again, making sure that our police department is ideally intervening in unlawful ICE operations. It's also something that, we all have to participate in. And so making sure that all of us know like what to do when we see ICE activity in terms of documenting it. So it's a big thing, and something that, the city needs to be absolutely on top of, and also fighting in the courts in every way that we can.
Everyone, I was not told what to say after the allotted questions were asked, so I'm just going to free ball it and say thank you all so much for taking the time to come out here. Obviously, your work ain't done, but thank you for the questions. They were excellent to a T, and I'm being signaled via hand signal that I should also shout out the wonderful organization that made all this possible. Of course, Progressive Victory, who has done phenomenal work around the. Yeah, okay, yeah. They do. They're good. They do.
Excellent.
They do wonderful work, because I know there are people watching who are part of it. They do wonderful work, canvassing and phone banking. There are a lot of people who, they get engaged in politics online, usually in the form of consuming other people's opinions on what's going on. And I think that engaging with politics only in that way can be a little bit distressing sometimes, especially because the world's not exactly getting better in a hurry right now. Think it's important to get involved. Gets folks involved. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful questions and for your time. And, of course, Katie Wilson, for your time.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And my last word is vote, right? Election day is coming up on Tuesday, November 4th. And so if you're a voter in Seattle or in Washington State, get your ballot in, and get your ballot to a drop box if you can. Because of the federal shutdown, we are not confident in USPS's ability to get things postmarked in time. So definitely put your ballot in the drop box by November 4th.
I concur. You guys should vote. You should vote. Now, one last thing I'd like to shout out as well, that Progressive Victory could not possibly get this done without, some kind of organizational income. Now, I wish I'd brought this prop myself, but I forgot because I'm an idiot. Oh, you want to give me yours? Mine's red and shiny. No, please. If you want to become a member of PV, which I think, for a mere $5 or more, that's up to you, dollars a month, you get a shiny card. I think that's market value too. So if anything, you're losing money not getting it. You can, again, mine's red. You can support an organization that does a lot of very, very, very good work and feel good about yourself. And also, you should get involved too. You should canvass and phone bank, but also you can sign up there because all that's helpful too. This isn't actually mine. I shouldn't hold on to it too long. I'll get attached. Here. Really though, thank you, and seriously, thank you for your time.
It's great to be here.
Everyone, please. Well then, reconnect the audio. I'll start talking.
It's on.
It's on, so they can hear me right now. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna go ramble in the in between room. I'll see y'all folks in a second. You got to get canvassing training. All right. Hello. Nice to meet you. No kidding. Oh, happy to have you here. Welcome. It's a pretty drive. Yeah, no, the weather's been so temperamental lately. Here, I can just go in the staircase. No, that's locked. Here. I was just going to ramble, so they can hear me right now. And you'll let me know if the microphone cuts out? Wonderful. Then I'm just going to chill out here. Seriously, just come get me. I can talk forever. Folks, I'm hearing word. You know, I could probably use my phone to go check chat. I have no idea what the range of this microphone is. If you can hear me, then you should know. Howdy. Pitch into the chat. Howdy. If you can hear me, then you should know. The reason you can only hear me is because they're doing canvassing training over there right now. Let me log into my chat on my phone and hear from these fine people. Do. Bosch.gg. I'm pretty sure that's my website. Don't usually access it via my phone. It says I'm still live. That's good. Let me see. Join stream. Hey, there you are. Okay, nice. The audio's still going through. So they're doing canvassing training over there, which top secret stuff. You know, you can't see that. All right. Oh, 1 second. Have a wonderful day. I was saying bye to Katie Wilson. So the top secret stuff, this canvassing training, really important, high level, deep state stuff. So they have the cameras off. They don't want to move the cameras, of course, because, you know, they're big, heavy, obnoxious cameras. But the microphones move, so I can move. And I've got the one live mic. Hello, I can see chat now. Hey. Well, I'd say that went pretty well, don't you? I'm still doing this under the official auspices of Progressive Victory, so I'm not going to go off-topic rambling as I would normally. But yeah, it was amazing. I thought it was pretty good. I thought that was some good energy. You know, I was channeling Adam Friedman. Not really. I didn't really do anything that Adam Friedman would do, but I did cross my legs. You know, aggressively. Cross my legs. I'm being informed that Grandmother Silk has been beaten by my partner in their ongoing battle in Silk Song. I am delighted to hear that. That is wonderful. Hello. I've been informed that my beautiful partner has beaten a high-level boss in Silk Song. The people I'm talking to don't know if I'm speaking to you or to the you know, them, so I have no idea if they. Did you hear that? My partner beat a boss in Silk Song. It's a very good game. You should play. My partner says you've been... Oh, you can. You can 100%. Yeah. They're both excellent games. Excellent games. FPS. Like Fortnite. Well, Fortnite's not an FPS. It's okay. They don't deserve better than this. No, I mean, chat. Really? Yeah. Well, what are you on now? Overwatch 2, Valorant, Deadlock?
Yeah, actually, I do put in like 3.
Wait, chat. How much around the microphone can you hear? Only me? Huh. Only you. Barely anything. Everything. Only a little bit around you. Pretty much just me. Oh, I was going to ramble for a bit. All right. So anyway. So yeah, chat, that went pretty well, you know? I really do hope Katie Wilson wins. I didn't really do much preparation. Well, I had it's kind of funny, actually. My beautiful partner who, by the way, as I was leaving, was printing out some lovely decals and stickers promoting Katie Wilson for mayor. They had a Halloween costume. They went as Hornet from Silksong, and in order to make the mask, Hornet's mask, they used paper mache, which I helped with. So really, it was we used paper mache. And we did it with a bunch of printouts of The Stranger, which is a local magazine. And you're not going to believe who had a big, like, multi-page interview in that edition of the magazine. That's right. It was Katie Wilson. So Katie Wilson's face is actually embedded in the Hornet mask that my beautiful partner wore for Halloween. It was cute. It was topical. I thought, in my opinion, had a great time for Halloween. Was out here in this fine city. I can only imagine Halloween would be even better if Katie Wilson won, right? Imagine what kind of Halloween antics you could get up to with a working class mayor, right? You can only dream. Now, as for what antics I would get up to, I'm old now. I'm unk. So I don't think that I would, I'm not out there TPing houses or whatever. But I do like walking around Capitol Hill, I was walking around Cap Hill the other night. I was walking with my beautiful partner. You're not going to believe it. I was recognized by some of the PV people. I was out on the date with my beautiful partner. We were walking around, and apparently, and I only found this out after they recognized me, a bunch of them, they were stationed up in an Airbnb in Cap Hill. They recognized me. I guess I was loud or just recognizable in the lights, but they recognized me, and I only found this out later because they said my name, but they didn't say it loud enough to catch me, and they didn't bother me. But anyway, I was walking around Capitol Hill with my beautiful partner, and there are parts of Capitol Hill I like and parts of Capitol Hill I don't like as much, and a lot of that is because of all the wretched human misery on display, the homeless folk and everything, and it's not their fault, of course, but it is unfortunate all the same. And I gotta say, even in walks around with my beautiful partner around Halloween time would go a lot better if the city was well taken care of and we didn't have any, long-term issues with homelessness and folks sleeping on the street. It's not even necessarily a matter of empathy and exposure, right? It's also just like the common belief that we should all have that the money that runs through the city should be put to a common good. It just seems ridiculous to me that you can have such a monstrously productive city, so much money here. It's like in the top 10 in terms of GDP in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, like top 8, I believe, disproportionately to their population. And then you walk around Capitol Hill, a lively, thriving district, and you still have issues like that. It's unfortunate. It's monstrous. It's inefficient. And I know it's callous to use terms like that, but frankly, it is. It would be one thing if we were having homelessness, in an area of the world where resources were scarce. I mean, it would still be morally wrong, but at the very least, it would be, proportionate to the wealth available to the people there. But here in America, there's just no excuse. It's disgusting. I'm hoping Katie Wilson can make that better, Bruce Harrell's current strategy of she said it best, didn't she? She did a great job in that interview, I feel. Not that I was fastballing her or anything. I wasn't pitching her any difficult questions because I know I like her. I can't really do the combative interview thing. I'm just too not likable. What's the term? Agreeable? I'm too agreeable. If I don't really like a person that much, for me, it's you're either arguing or you're not. If you're arguing, if you're debating, whatever else, that's fine. You can do whatever. But if you're doing an interview, I want to like the person. I want to like that person. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk. Like, for instance, I don't think I would do a good job interviewing Curtis Sliwa because he's a funny guy, but he's done and said a lot of bad shit. But I don't think I would do a good job pressing him on that because I'd be too into being kind of jovial with him, Katie, really? With Sliwa? Yeah. Jesus, man. Fuck. Well, oh God, now? Well, I guess he'll have a lot of free time in a couple of days. That's Ben telling me apparently there's some connection to Curtis Sliwa. Fuck. Well, look. Okay, one thing at a time. I'm rambling here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't want an adversarial interview. I'm glad that I like Katie Wilson. Otherwise, I wouldn't really know what to do or say. She's such a policy wonk, not very ideological. I mean, everything's ideological, even policy wonkery. But what I mean to say is that her progressivism seems to be motivated in large part by just an interest in material outcomes. This is the issue that you have sometimes, I think, with more activist, activists, the activist side of things, right? Where you have people very high-minded, good thoughts, good beliefs, good morals, but they're not really interested in the mechanisms of power. They're not interested in getting involved in governance or anything like that. So when they do obtain power, they don't really make good use of it. And I think these people should be best left out of government, of course. Government is bureaucracy. There's no two ways about it. Once you're in the system, you have to know how to work it properly. And Katie Wilson's good at that. At the very least, she posits as somebody good at that. She has the image of being somebody who's good at that. That works? All right. Okay. That's me. Yeah. Okay. I've been told that there's an image of me sitting outside the conference room that's being used as the stream. No, that's what I'm doing right now. Barely even changed my pose, by the way. That's just an image, Think of this. This is like it's like parasociality. Okay, you're it's like you're here with me in the coffee shop, except of course I'm in the lobby of a nice hotel room, hotel building. It is nice, actually. It's nice. It's nice in here. Yeah. No, it's not nice. Was it in the U district? Oh yeah, I've been. Yeah, no, it's beautiful in there. I like the fancy pants hotels. They tend to be better at interior design than fancy pants people are anyway. Also, for the most part, I cheap out whenever I travel. I tend to just go for your best westerns. So whenever I'm inside a nice lobby, I feel a little blessed. And they tend to look pretty good. This one looks pretty good. I mean, my standards are a bit skewed because I grew up in Beverly Hills, and all of the hotels in Beverly Hills have really nice interiors. Really nice restaurants. You got people, kind of place where when they give you the menu, the chef's name is on the bottom, that sort of thing. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Katie Wilson. See, no, Katie Wilson's enough of a policy wonk to understand, or at least have an interest in the ways in which this stuff can be done. Of course, this is something that is good about Mamdani as well. I've just been informed by my phone that I'm almost out of parking time at the space that I parked at that has a maximum parking time at the time that I took to park it. So I think I'm going to have to move my car soon. I could do that pretty quickly. Yeah, it's pretty lax. It's pretty well. I've just admitted to a federal crime here on the mic. It's fine. It's just the state has told me that if I get any more parking tickets, they're going to turn it into a cube with me in it. So I need to, play my hand carefully. But I suppose I'm not going to be here for 6 more hours. I'll probably be all right. No, I think we'll be okay. Howdy, howdy. Just saying howdy to people as they come in. You can't see me doing that, of course, because I'm a still image. In real life, I'm very much like that image, just moving a little bit. And I'm talking, of course. That's where the audio is coming from. Huh? I'm not a cardboard cutout. I'm moving slightly less, perhaps, than you're used to when you see me on stream. But when you see me on stream, you don't see my legs or my nice Alan Edmonds Liverpool Chelsea boots. Did you notice those while I was hosting the conversation up there? Lovely, lovely boots. Fit me perfectly. Really, I mean, I've worn them in so well. They have a beautiful patina. It's about time to give them a nice clean. A saddle soap. That's what you do, by the way, when it's time to clean. Not suede, but full grain leather. You have to apply saddle soap, named for reasons you can probably figure out. And give it a good scrub-a-dub-dub, and then you have to apply some nice conditioner, and then a protective sealant if you prefer, like a wax that you can use to keep them waterproof, which, folks, tell me, around this time of year, is that not a good idea up here in Seattle? Look at that. Well, you can't. I said look at that, like you can see what I'm looking at right now, but you can't. It's windy, and Well, it's not quite rainy outside, but it was rainy earlier, and it will be again soon. We're in that season, you know. We're in that season. They're wonderful boots, great color. Thank you. I use them basically as cowboy boots, even though they're not. They're Chelsea boots, which were invented by British cavalrymen, or at least 4 British cavalrymen. But they have a similar profile to a Western boot, you know, low heel, that kind of thing. Certainly sounds like Seattle. Oh, yeah. It's nice and sunny here in Tacoma. Well, fuck you. And no one cares. I like stormy weather personally. The thing that I don't care for, wind on its own, bleh, you know, bleh. Rain on its own, bleh. But wind and rain is romantic. It's dramatic. I like wind and rain together. I think it looks nice. And you go outside, and you feel like you're being assaulted by the environment. You know, you're like buffeting your clothes against the storm. That feels cool. I actually love Florida thunderstorms. Well, that's the thing. I spent my summers in Florida when I was a young boy. Every summer, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, when I was a kid, I'd go over there, and for 2 months, I would brave summer Florida weather. Now, that had the benefit, of course, over there in Florida. Those storms were warm. I mean, you could go out there in a T-shirt and shorts, and you'd be fine and dandy. You had no risk of you getting cold. The rain that was hitting you was warm. Over here, of course, in Seattle, the storm weather is a lot chillier. But there's still a romantic charm to it. After Bellevue is annexed, Tacoma will be next. Nah, we don't want them. I did think it was a funny bit. I wonder what kind of like legitimate grievances there are there, because when I did the annex Bellevue bit with Katie Wilson, I feel like, you know, oh, that's dangerous territory. Don't go there. Because Bellevue knows that it deserves to be annexed. I mean, they know they have it coming. They've been stealing our jobs. You can go take a look. You can go take a look. You can take a look. It's a sister city set up across the water, 10 minutes away, in favorable traffic, with lower taxes, and it's just there to siphon business and workers from the city of Seattle. And it's barely even cheaper to live there. It's a disgusting city. The only thing of value in it is Bellevue Square, the gigantic shopping mall. Apart from that, it's morally destitute unless you like, I don't know, West Elms nestled at the bottom of 60-foot or 60-story skyscrapers. Utterly featureless, unwalkable. I think that it should be annexed and liquidated for parts. Like the scrap steel could be used to build another bridge or two, perhaps. We could do with a rail line running up to Fremont. We've been needing that for a long time. I think there's lots of steel over there in Bellevue that we could get by melting it down. As for the people, I don't know what to do with them, but maybe they could come over and live here, you know, and pay our prices and our taxes and contribute to the city. We do need a rail line up to Fremont. I should have asked. 15 minutes have passed already? Well, what a dream. All right, well, when everything's nice and clear in there, I'll go back in. But in the meantime, I could do this for another hour or 3. That's true. Hold on. Wait, I'm being informed of something important. The best peanut butter chocolate cake slice in the Seattle Greater Met area is said to be in Bellevue. Well, we can take it, is the thing. It doesn't have to be in Bellevue. It's all Greater Seattle, as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, the people in Bellevue also say they're from Seattle when they talk to people from out of state. They're also living as though they're part of Greater Seattle. I think it's a cultural real. It's a real politic thing. The power of Seattle culturally. You know, a cultural victory in civilization. I'm just saying we don't need to abide by these pretenses anymore. We can just take it. With Katie Wilson at the helm, there will be no reason to continue enabling this delusional fantasy of Bellevue sovereignty. And we will take it. And there will be blood. Yeah, listen, Bellevue has to have one of the highest per capita ownership rates of Cybertrucks. Trust me, they're not doing anything with their city. It's got to be, like, San Francisco's got to be on top. I'm not committed enough to the bid to list more cities, but I guarantee you Bellevue is near to that. Admittedly, Seattle would also be near to that. What's up? Ready to, I'm being told I'm ready to go back in, which means that you might see me on camera soon. I'm turning my phone off so I can't see chat anymore, huh? I have to cut the mic for a sec. Well, I'll be right back. I'm reactivating the mic. Now, I don't know when they're going to switch the camera over. At some point in the near future, I'm being told it's whenever I want. You can do it whenever you want, actually. So I've been rambling for a while off in the adjacent room, but here I am back in the seat. And the reason I'm back in the seat is because I've been given the delightful opportunity to interview some canvassers. Now, this is important to me because, as I've told many times on stream, I myself am not entirely confident in my canvassing skills. So I have much to learn in this field, you know. I, of course, will be, reciprocally relaying advice on live streaming should they ever decide to get into the field and practice. Now, I don't have any particular method for deciding who comes up here first. So if someone would raise a hand, would you like to go? You're the most on my left. We're going clockwise. Hello, what's your name?
My name is Connor. I go by Metallical. My name is Connor. I go by Metallical on Discord. I usually am the DM lead for Washington State. I give people information about what's coming up on events. So.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm a live streamer, so I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, I actually met you at the primary election party.
Yes, I think I remember that. Though you didn't have that lovely hat on back then.
I had a different hat with the K. Wilson pins.
That's unfortunate because that is a lovely hat.
Yeah, I like this hat.
So, yeah, please. All right. We're pitching this to a broad audience of people who are perhaps, we'll say, canvassing curious, you know? Anyone who's already canvassed, they know the deal. But how's your experience been?
It's been very lovely so far. I believe I've canvassed about 10 times, mostly in Capitol Hill and Lake City areas. I've only met like 2 kind of put offish people so far in terms of because I usually walk around by myself and just like talk to people with the lit. It was with the democracy vouchers and all that, brought that up. It was the first put offish person was just only 3 people all wearing like a golfer's cap and carrying flowers, the whole family. And yeah, it was very strange. But everyone else at like Lake City was very kind. If you go to canvas at the same area, you start seeing people that you recognize, and you just get it's kind of builds community in that way. It's really fun.
All right. Yeah, no, that's the main message I hear from people. You know, I ask, how's the canvassing? People like the community.
Yeah.
People are very alienated now,
Yeah.
you know? And I think, especially because if you got into politics at any prior point in the history of democracy in this country, 1990s or earlier, getting into politics means, it means what, right? You're going out there, you're pamphleteering, you're going door to door, maybe you're phone banking if phones have been invented. But primarily what you're doing is you're doing something social. There wasn't a way to spectate on politics like there is today, where you consume a bunch of the content and you're following every move, but you're not involved. I think that before it used to be, if you wanted to follow the moves happening at your local mayor's office, you kind of had to be in there a little bit, or at least you're getting what you get from the press, and that's it. And I think that what we have now, in a way, it's more open and available informationally, but in another way, it discourages people from doing stuff that would make them feel better about their involvement.
Yeah. People are still alienated by all that, but that's our job to try and get that message out there. And people are really happy about getting the message. Like they're very happy about getting all the information that we have to give, because it's more trying to it's more just out there in general, I should say.
No. If you had one bit of advice or input, something critical that you would offer, some insight that you developed after doing the canvassing work to people who are interested in joining anew, what would it be?
Just don't take yourself too seriously. Everyone, show humanity. Like you're not a robot. Just have a conversation, and it'll go good.
I personally, I think that's a big one. I've canvassed before, and I've always had. Yeah, I mean, you can tell I'm a live streamer, right? We're all self-obsessed egotists, but I think there's a difficulty in being able to canvass and engage with the other person as they are, and not try to front or speak down to them. Not like in a superiority way, but in like I am here with a purpose. I'm going to deliver that purpose. Because if you get too in your head about that, it can be kind of tough to communicate.
You can be confident, but at the same time, just don't speak down to the people. Just have a conversation. Like confidence is big, but that doesn't mean you're a robot or anything like that. Like it's fine if you like stutter or anything like that. It's fine if you just make a mistake and you're talking. Everyone does that. Like I've been doing that this whole time. I'm enjoying this.
It's I've heard nothing but positive stories about people with regards to their enjoyment. I think that it's not. Because when you say it's about reconnecting, I think sometimes people think it's like, oh, okay, it's so it's therapeutic or whatever. Well, it's also just fun, it's just enjoyable.
I'd probably say like, if I had to rate like this experience, this is my first time actually getting into politics and canvassing. I joined PV literally like during Deja Fox, and I was like, and I heard Kate Wilson was happening. I got into it, and it's been probably like one of the greatest times of my life. I can't really compare this to anything else. It's been really fun out here, just getting to talk to people. It gets me outside the house. It feels less alienating because I live in like a forest, so like I don't get to talk with people like this. It's really fun.
Genuinely, I'm really delighted to hear that. The powers that be have informed me I've got to interview 5 people. So here, thank you. No, who would like to? Do we want to do clockwise? Yeah, come on up. Clockwise is a wonderful. Counterclockwise, I don't trust.
How you doing, Vosh?
Howdy.
My name's Jefferson.
Hey, Jefferson.
Hey, I've canvassed for Katie a couple times now. I've done it a few times before, not for her. Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to get out there. If you want a cure for cynicism, for the alienation of politics, especially online, canvassing is the way to do it. I've never phone banked, but being in person, talking to people in your neighborhood or other people's neighborhoods, it's really wonderful. You get to see places you don't normally see, whether you're driving through a place, you're walking, you're knocking on doors, and you feel like you're a part of the movement, which kind of heals yourself personally, as well as if there's anything that comes out of it, which we praying that Katie wins, and I believe she will.
Can I share a tangentially related news story?
Of course.
Sorry, not news story, personal story. Say news story so often I got it mixed up in my head. I was driving recently through the Cascades, and I happened upon a small town called Concrete. I'm sure a lot of people driving up through the Cascades have been through there. There's only so many roads that cut through the mountains. I on a whim I took a turn into the historic town district, which was really nice. Murals painted on the side of brick buildings. Ice cream store with the booziest pecan ice cream I've ever had in my life. I mean, like, actually, you get the throat burn with one little spoon. It was crazy. It was actually crazy. It said not for adults in the thing. I thought they were playing. You couldn't sell that to children. And anyway, it was real nice. And what I was thinking walking around here is there will never be a news article on this that I will read, If there's a murder that happens in this town, maybe. Aside from that, no. It's a lovely place. Presumably the people were nice. The few that I did meet were nice. There are so many little nooks and crannies that you don't get to appreciate if you don't go out there and put in the effort. Now, that's Concrete, Washington. It's nowhere near where I live, but just passing through it, I got a feeling that I'd missed a little bit, the feeling of undiscovered country, of there being a magic around the corner. And I think that's a feeling of connectedness that's There are places where people get that a lot. Like New York City, famously, is a place where people have that, like, around every corner, there's something new, there's something exciting waiting for you. I think that canvassing is a wonderful way of re-exploring that sensation, that part of yourself, of starting to feel that way about the world again. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you visit places for sites and such, but when you're canvassing, you're seeing, the back alleys, the soul of a city, and you see things that you normally wouldn't. There's no real other way, at least when you're involved specifically in the political process, to get that experience. And it's heart fulfilling in a sense.
No, I agree. I've always had trouble canvassing myself because the expectation of going up door to door, right? I did it for a while long before I streamed. Back when I was in LA, and LA is a much harder pitch to canvass in than Seattle. I gotta say, folks here, I think on average are a bit nicer. A little bit, just a little, yeah. But I did still, even then, like, even though I had a hard time with it, man, I really enjoyed that feeling of having a reason to be on the street that I was on, beyond just you're walking from A to B or driving from A to B. There's a reason you're here. You can appreciate the house and the conversation you have. And I feel like, and I've known enough people to do canvassing, so I can say this, with some confidence. I feel like you do that for any length of time, you're bound to make new friends. And you're bound to feel a little bit better about the process.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I mean, whether you make friends through canvassing or you're going around a neighborhood that's your own and you just meet someone who you may have had a single conversation or two conversations before, and now they know that you are putting effort into your community. It's a way to get out there, and it's probably the most fulfilling political thing that I've done personally.
You'd recommend it highly to any curious folks?
Yes, I would. Very much so.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
Of course.
Since we're doing clockwise, could I have you up here?
Yep.
I just kicked the dang hat off. It's just a little here. It's just a little bit too small for my head, you see?
Hey, I'm Alec. I joined up with Progressive Victory earlier in the year, thanks to your efforts. And I went out doing some canvassing through, I think, a different local group. A little closer. All right, sorry. Went out, did some canvassing through a different local group that I joined, who also supports Katie Wilson. It's called Tech for Housing because I moved here a few years ago as a tech worker, and I wanted to make the city a nicer place to be in for everyone and also myself. My experience with canvassing was a lot of walking in a different part of the neighborhood. I think it was in Capitol Hill or something that I've never really seen before, and I got to meet a few new people in the way. It was sorry, I'm getting the story out of order.
No. Hit it with me to me with any order.
All right.
Have you seen Memento? The movie Memento?
No, I haven't.
I'm just saying you can hit it in any order, and if you do it good, people will remember.
Okay. Right. Met Katie Wilson. She was speaking to a few different local groups up in this house somewhere. I'd have to look up exactly where it was. But afterwards, someone was just going around saying, "Hey, any canvassers there? Anyone willing to canvass?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't have anything I was doing that afternoon, so I thought hey, I'll go for it." So I ended up taking the light rail and all the way to what I think is Capitol Hill, but and then met up with a few people, and we went off in groups of two, or the more experienced canvassers went off on their own because they've done it probably a few dozen times at least. So, and then I walked around with someone else, and we just knocked on various doors, just saying, "Hey, we're here to encourage you to vote Katie Wilson." This was a couple months ago, so we had a longer detail on why Bruce Harrell wasn't the best candidate. And we just we did that for a couple hours, and then we called it for then, and I headed back home. So it was a spontaneous thing, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I'd certainly encourage other people to do it.
It's not the kind of thing a lot of people would consider doing spontaneously. May I ask what motivated you?
Uh, Mostly to just get more involved in local politics. I had been trying to get involved somewhat through sites like The Urbanist, where they said, hey, here's some meetings that you can go to. One of them was a Seattle Pedestrian Advisory Board, where they'd host like a 2-hour meeting every month. And I sat in on those a few times. Since I was just a random citizen, they gave you 5 minutes at the beginning and 5 minutes at the end to comment, and I just felt like it was nice to hear like the various projects that were going on in the city, but I felt just some pressure that hey, I really should be doing more than sitting for 2 hours and getting a few comments in at the start or end of the meeting. So that opportunity offered by the person I met through the organization by Katie Wilson, the meeting meeting by Katie Wilson. I just saw, hey, this seems like a good opportunity to get some practice, and I went for it.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like, I mean, a lot of the good stuff you do it spontaneous, right?
Mhm.
I mean, some of the big paying your taxes, job, whatever, right? You have to plan it out, but a lot of the fun stuff you end up doing on a whim. And I think a lot of people can't really envision themselves canvassing. Maybe it would have been easier for them 10, 20, whatever years ago, back when people knew the names of their neighbors. Now that no one does, or a lot of people don't at least, I think a lot of people think the concept's kind of foreign. Maybe it's more radical, but I think that's why it's all the more important. I think that impulse of yours is laudable. It's genuinely, I would even say heroic. No, I would. I would. Perhaps a slight overstatement, but I support the sentiment because for a lot of people, they hem and they haw. They think maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. They deliberate, and then 80 years pass, they're dead. Happens to the best of us. You can do so much good, and you can do it relatively quickly on a whim. When I was going to university, I went to Humboldt State University, now called Poly Cal Technic Humboldt, whatever the fuck. I don't care for the name change. Small town, right? It was in Arcata, a town of 15,000 people, I think, population-wise. Most of them, or at least a lot of them, students. Not a wealthy town. And the police there, as is often the case with small towns, the police there were, brutish thugs to the homeless. And there were a lot of homeless because a lot of the homeless from around the state of California were getting bussed up there. They were getting the Greyhound therapy, Here's $100 and a ticket up north. Humboldt's about as far north as you go as long as you're in California. So they get sent up there. Anyway, a lot of really good community work was done up there by two ladies. I don't know if their organization had more people. I only ever saw these two ladies. But they would show up everywhere. Whenever there was a press briefing by the police commissioner, whenever there was a town hall, any kind of big civic event, it's two older ladies, right? And they were just part of some, I don't even remember the name, homeless advocacy group or something similar to that. That was the gist of what they were doing. And they would press the commissioner and the mayor and so on. I had the chance to talk with them because they did work with the students, real nice ladies. I think to them, a lot of what they were doing, it was lifestyle activism. It wasn't, here's my plan to do a thing. I'm going to achieve a goal, They had goals they wanted to achieve, sure. But the fundamental, the thing that made them so effective, and God were they effective, was that they had the kind of mind where they could wake up and hear, oh, mayor's doing this over here. Well, he didn't answer us over here, a week ago. Let's go and ask him why, They were able to be impulsive like that. And I think as a consequence of that, it's that mindset thing, You can't just think of it as like this like grit down work you have to do to fulfill your civic responsibility. You have to be a little bit silly with it.
Oftentimes, like city council meetings would be at 10 a.m. and I work from 9 to 5. Oh, whoop! Sorry. All right. So, yeah. So, I would like to be more spontaneous, but I have work from 9 to 5. So, city council meetings are at 10. Best I could do is just hop on the Zoom call and hopefully I can make some comments. But oftentimes like work has me on a Zoom call chatting with other people. So I wish there were more opportunities to you just be more spontaneous about things and like show up to a city council meeting saying, hey, here's an issue. I want to talk about it for a few minutes at a council meeting.
We've already done a hell of a lot more than most folks, I think. But yeah, no, God willing, it gets easier. It's so difficult, I think, to do activism these days. That's why everyone came out for BLM, right? Everyone was out in the street. You know, you were a loser if you didn't. So, I mean, all you had to do was open up your front door and you were 2 minutes away from march. If it's easy to participate, people participate. It's not always just a matter of willingness, you know? I bet you most progressive causes could get like a plurality turnout, you know, from most good cities at least, if it was just easy for people to get involved, and if people had the right mindset too, because you know you have to think about it that way. You have to think about it like, oh sure, I'm willing to try that.
Yeah, no, it. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe Katie could like try to move council hours to something that works better for more working class people. I don't know if that's possible though, but
Oh, they 100% rely on their hours, only attracting like seniors who don't work anymore. You know, during work hours, but still early, right? So they're the ones, you know, they show up at 6 a.m. or whatever, get their biscuits. No, it was like that in LA too. You know, they expect the only people who show up to these fucking meetings, these you know, anything from HOAs all the way up to town hall. It's old people, you know, complaining about the threats to their property values, and a lot of these people aren't going to make it to see the next decade. Young people are either too busy, or in a lot of cases, it's not they're busy; they just don't believe their participation will make a difference. And I do disagree with that. You know, I do. It's cringe and liberal of me, but I do actually think there are benefits to civic participation.
yeah, definitely. Made me feel at least a little better, and also it's a good exercise because you, depending on where you end up canvassing, you could be walking for like most of those 2 hours and then walk another 30 minutes to get to the.
Oh, and the hills in some parts of Seattle, you're going to get a fat ass like that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Please. Howdy.
Hello. I'm Gwen.
Gwen?
I have not. I was like in PV at the beginning, and I did some like phone baking for Raphael Warnock. But then I have no idea how you use Discord. I'm like a boomer, so I kind of fell off of involvement with PV until the Katie Wilson election, because it's local for me. I live in Seattle, so it's really easy to get involved, and it's helpful to have local progressive candidates that you can actually go campaign for, because you just go on our website and hit the volunteer and go outside and talk to people. And it's been a big part of my like personal growth push to like meet new people and talk to strangers in public. And I feel like canvassing is like a really good social excuse to talk to strangers, where like I feel like in the modern day with the alienation, it is difficult to like feel like you have a good reason.
Oh, it's agonizing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I may, you know, I don't know if you've ever had this thought. You ever had the thought, especially because you, as me, live in Seattle. We do have access to a lot of social opportunities. You ever thought, like, one of these days I'm going to get someone to airdrop me over into Cap Hill at 3 p.m. and I'm just going to walk around and make friends at bars until like 11 p.m. I'm not even going to bring my phone. I'm just going to talk to people and like sort of like temper myself in the fires of social interaction. You know what I mean, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a practice that I've been engaging in. Just
It's
walking in
good.
a
It's
bar
good.
solo and just like you're allowed to sit down to people and say hello. You're
It's a
allowed
safe
to
and
talk to
legal
strangers.
thrill. Yeah, the state can't take that from you yet.
Yeah, and like my experience with the Katie Wilson campaign has been great. It's really before the Katie Wilson campaign, I started in like a local neighborhood council, like a nonpartisan council meeting, just to get a little like public speaking experience.
Get your toes wet, yeah.
Because I've like had major public speaking anxiety since I was a kid. But it was like a great opportunity to get involved in something like slightly less political. And like you said, there are a lot of old people at the like kind of local council meetings, but they have like a weird amount of power. Like Pramila Jayapal would go to the like local neighborhood council meeting and like tons of representatives. And so like getting your feet wet in any way is like really helpful.
It's huge. And so much of it is social capital because these old people, right? They have nothing better to do. They're miserable. Their grandchildren won't call them. So if anything on their neighborhood goes wrong, pothole doesn't get fixed or some upzoning thing nearby, an apartment building goes up, they're flooding town hall with calls and letters and their disproportionate influence. It's not even money. But I think in a way there's some hope to this because it's not money, right? It's so easy and so cynical to say, well, it's because the boomers have all the wealth. And like, yeah, but that's not what's motivating this. They're just the ones who bother to complain. A lot of young people, U District, Cap Hill, whatever, something bad happens. The city, it doesn't work out, bad housing, zoning decision or whatever. They just grumble about it. They talk about it online, but to them, the idea of contacting town hall, like, what is that? What is it? Was some like a Karen thing, you know?
Yeah.
What is that going to do? They don't believe in it, so it doesn't work for them.
Sure. Yeah, and the idea that like politics is all controlled by money is like partially true, but also a lot of political representatives are, you know, social creatures, and they do, you know, if your face is in front of them, they do listen to you, even if you don't represent political capital. This is about canvassing.
Well, no, this is really important because canvassing, we saw it with Mamdani, right? Hopefully, God willing, we see it. Katie Wilson, too. She's certainly not the one with the most money, you know, hedged on her in this race. I think that there is a degree of uninformed, infantilizing cynicism from the left sometimes about the role of money in politics. Obviously, money is hugely influential in politics, but it's just not, because I hear it a lot from people who say, you know, well, the Trump administration, why have they done this unpopular thing? Well, because the public opinion doesn't matter anymore. Public opinion always matters. It doesn't matter. You could be in North Korea, you could be in Turkmenistan, you could be in Russia. Everyone, every dictator, every democratic leader, everyone who wants to stay in power invests in public relations. There's no getting around it, at least not yet. I don't know what kind of AI shithole future we're all headed towards, but right now, you can't get around it. So anyway, I think sometimes the cynicism, people employ it as an excuse to not get involved. Well, what does it matter? We don't have the money. Yeah, okay, sure. But good things can happen if you try. And you have to try. And canvassing is trying.
It's true. I'd like to speak a little more to my like specific canvassing
Please.
experience. It's a lot easier than you'd expect it to be. Because especially with like the last minute canvasses, you're not really, you know, you're going to try to convince anyone you can, but like 9 times out of 10, what you're doing is saying, do you have a plan to vote? And a lot of people, especially with like progressive candidates, they like are interested in the candidate, but they may not have a specific plan to vote, and they just forget. They're like, you know, they're like me. They're lazy. You know, they have the ballot. It's sitting on the counter, and they just stare at it every day.
Twins. Yeah. You leave it on the counter for 3 months. Every day you're like,
Yeah.
And then November 5th comes and you're like, well,
Yeah.
thank God. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
And so a lot of what you're doing is just like going to them and reminding them to vote, and like that makes a huge difference. And you can like they were saying, you can flub lines, you can do a bad job, you can like be goofy, and it makes it more fun for you. And also, what's it matter? You're not gonna convince them to not vote because you like flubbed the line or
That would be crazy. Yeah, if a person had a plan to vote for Katie Wilson and then they just were like, oh, if I guess it doesn't matter even. Yeah, so, I mean, people are very rarely argumentative.
Yeah. No, I mean, I haven't had any arguments. And like the one brief interchange was someone, you know, on the intercom through their Zoom Ring doorbell saying like, I voted for, you know, Bruce Harrell, and just like nothing.
Well, that's a picture perfect Bruce Harrell vote right there, isn't it? Talking to someone through the ring. Yeah.
The worst thing you get is disinterest, by and large. Not to say some people have had more negative experiences, but they're like few and far between. You get a lot of people who are really excited to see you and are like thankful that you're out there, and like you're people you know in real life. If you tell them you canvassed for a progressive candidate, they'll go, "Oh my God, thank you. That's so cool."
And then they'll be like, I was not going to vote because I was going to forget, but because of you, I would feel bad if I didn't vote.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
No, I do think people, like, it's one of the important things you getting out there personally, right? Everyone's so adversarial online. For the most part, in person, people are pretty okay. For the most part, you know, even if you disagree, everyone's just trying to get by. Not much vice signaling in person. It's almost all online, you know?
The social contract still exists.
Yeah, yes, in person.
person,
yeah.
yeah.
Online, it's
Yeah,
fucking
no, absolutely
gone,
not. It's- yeah.
completely gone. But yes, in person for the most part, you know. Really like your jeans, by the way.
Thank you. I like you.
Thank you.
How are you not sweating in here? I'm on fire.
Well, you're wearing a sweater. I mean, this is just like, and I love your boots too. You still have the tongue guard on.
Thank you. Thank you. I got them for $15 at a vintage resale store. In
Really?
Spokane.
Wait, what's the company?
They're Justin boots. They're like not super high end.
No, okay. Well, I like the tongue guard. You know, a lot of
yeah.
people take those off, or they
Yeah,
don't.
the
they don't
kilty.
even- yeah, it looks good.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming up here.
Yeah.
Here,
Take care.
take care. Now, yeah. Yes, I was pitched a fifth person, but there were 4 initially up here. Hello, phone banker. That's your name?
My name is Natalie.
Nice to meet you, Natalie.
Nice to meet you too. So I just graduated high school this past June, and I am an aspiring activist. So I actually found Progressive Victory through your channel because I was, you were kind of the only way I really wanted to like consume a lot of the news because it was also negative, so it was nice to like kind of get somebody who like threw humor into it, and it was just I don't know, it was like a buffer, and is really nice. But it's also really nice to as somebody so young to be able to start like gaining more complex opinions, and so so I ended up joining the Progressive Victory server and the Discord server, and I haven't had the experience like too much to do too many things yet, but I did phone bank for Deja Fox, and I don't feel like I did a very good job. I talked.
Well, she lost, so clearly.
Yeah. I felt kind of bad about that afterwards. I was like,
Well, she wouldn't have gotten appointed into Congress anyway, it
Yeah.
seems. So
yeah.
the way things are going with Grijalva.
Yeah.
Crazy
definitely.
that. Sheesh, yeah, anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Um,
Tell me how it went.
So it was really interesting. Like, some people obviously they see a number they don't recognize and they just don't answer. And but a lot of people would pick up the phone and they would be like, "Oh yeah, like I've heard of her. Like I think she's yeah." And so I would just kind of like talk to them a little bit. And a lot of people were very unsure. I talked to one woman who she seemed like she was pretty educated, and so I was like explaining to her some of her policies and things like that, and I felt like that was a really productive conversation that I had. But there was also another person. I remember he picked up the phone and I asked him if he was thinking about voting for Deja Fox, and he was like, "I voted for Trump." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Thank you for your time." Hang up. So even though I don't feel like I personally did a very good job, I do think that it was a really good experience to kind of like put myself out there in that way as somebody who hasn't really had the chance to do many things. And that's actually partially why I came out here today. I actually live all the way in like the Puyallup area, so I live pretty far from here.
Oh, thank you for
But-
taking the drive down.
Oh yeah, thank my grandparents for driving me here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I actually they take me to a lot of protests and stuff like that. So it's a really great experience. So yeah, when I was watching one of your streams, you were talking about how you were going to be interviewing Katie Wilson with Progressive Victory, and then I went into the server and I saw people talking about it, and I was like, Grandma, Grandpa, can you guys take me down here? Like, I mean, I can drive, but like I do not like driving, and I've never driven down in Seattle before, so I was like,
Weather's been a bit inclement lately too, you know?
yeah,
A little stormy.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, that I wanted to put myself out there again by coming down here and seeing what's kind of what other people were saying, what other people were doing, and while I haven't canvassed before, I am definitely really interested in doing that, especially after hearing a lot of other people talking about it here. And I'm always looking for more ways to get involved.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask with regard to phone banking. When you first gave it a try, when you first started, were you nervous at all? I mean, were you like, before making your first call, what were your expectations?
Um, I don't really know what my expectations were. I was very, very nervous overall. I don't think I really knew what to expect. I was, kind of trying to figure out everything as I was going along, like figuring out the technology of it, everything like that. So yeah, I was definitely very nervous. While I have, been a relatively like outgoing person, I'm also like not the best at coming up with things to say in the moment. Like that's why I feel like instead of being a debater, I would be better at being somebody like, a reactionary like type commentator like you are, because then I wouldn't have to like think up things all of a sudden. So I made sure that I had like Deja Fox's like policies and stuff like that listed out for me. And so like I had that on one device and I had my own phone. So that was really helpful to do, just to like make sure, you're not floundering, you have, like stuff right in front of you that's telling you like what, like usually when you're phone banking, there is that option. There is somebody that's created a document for that kind of like tells you, some like of like the candidate's history or some of their policies, things like that. And, so making sure you have that in front of you, especially because if you are nervous like I was, your mind sometimes goes a little bit blank. So I think that was good to make sure to do.
One thing I've also noticed, I think this is the case with phone banking. It was certainly the case with me when I did do debates, more often at least, was that when people have a position, they're rarely convinced off of that position because you have responded to specific critiques or disagreements they have. It's usually they have an underlying feeling, some like either like an emotional bias or a concern of fear, usually, I think, with politics, that motivates them. And even if you address their surface complaints, there's still that like underlying cause, which makes it really difficult to debate with people. Often, in my humble opinion, a waste of time. A lot of these people have no idea what they're even getting at. But when it comes to phone banking, like was said previously, a lot of it's just reminding people to go out there and vote. And for the people who have these disagreements, what I've heard, and I'm no seasoned phone banker, but what I've heard is that oftentimes it's that human element that makes the difference for them, which sounds cheesy, but it is like just you cared enough to call. You relay some words of support. It's something that another human cares about, That's a kind of social pressure in itself, And I think that just as a lot of people are frightened to canvass or phone bank because they don't know how the other person will react, the person being canvassed or phone banked feels that kind of reciprocal pressure. If they were willing to try this on me, this must be worth something to them.
Yeah.
I think it works especially in cases like ours, grassroots organizations, It's not like people canvassing for Cuomo, they're all like paid to do it or whatever. If you're talking to someone who supports Mamdani or Katie Wilson, they're out there for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And that means something.
Yeah, I think it does. I think when you're speaking to people, like on the phone, when you're phone banking, I think that you really do need to come across, like you just need to be yourself, because when you hear like, somebody who maybe is hired by Cuomo to do stuff like that, like they're probably, since they're being paid to do that, they're probably going to sound very professional, very much, and you kind of have to like get down on people's level, and you just like have to talk to them like a person, and they're more willing to listen to you that way, because it's just like having a conversation. It's not like somebody's like talking at you. It's more personal. And also, I think something that can work in my favor but also work against me is that obviously I do sound very young, so sometimes people are like, what the heck are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. But other times it's like, I feel like some people feel some level of motivation. They're like, okay, yeah, wow, this person sounds really young. Like obviously, this person is very passionate about this. Like maybe I should, look more into this. And I would hope maybe that encourages more people my age to get involved.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is also fighting for what we all believe in, which is to an extent the deprofessionalization of politics. The idea that everyone, either who runs or supports those who run, has to be some kind of campaign lobbyist, a lawyer, has to be some stuck-up businessman. It's antithetical to I don't know, democracy in general. It makes it difficult to like politics should be personal.
Yeah.
Politics should be knowing the name of your neighbor and having conversations with them about maybe you disagree on this or that. You try to reconcile it with them. You don't have to argue, but you guys know each other and you live next to each other, so you're going to have these conversations anyway. Everything is so depersonalized now, and for the most part, the politics game is run by a minute subsection of the population. This is one of the reasons why, if I might speak to a broader point, we sometimes get confused about the language of the national Democrats. People like Jeffries or Schumer, where it's like it's so alien and so
Yeah.
divorced from what anyone wants, or Kamala Harris too. You watch it and you're like, well, who's even telling you to talk like this?
Yeah.
What inputs are you getting? And I think it's from like communities of people who are well-paid professionals who get in this like circular feedback loop where they hear what the other people in their own class are saying and not much else. And eventually that's what politics looks like. The whole game, top to bottom, run by people who are that divorced from the real world. The personalization of politics, being able to phone bank and just have a conversation is the antidote. And
Yeah.
it's the only way out.
Yeah, because it's not as effective when you're not actually caring about what the people down in the community care about. And when you're talking in this way, because people are going to care more when they see that you care, when they see that you are talking about the things that are important and not talking on things. Because like I would see a lot, also like especially with Kamala Harris, that she would talk about things that weren't really like going to sell her to like the other side. Like she kind of would be like too neutral, but in a way that it just wasn't grabbing anybody. And so yeah, I think it's really important to actually personally like reach out to communities.
And it's something they can never replicate.
Yeah.
I think that part of the success of the MAGA movement has been in part their deep professionalization. All of the like weirdo corpo lobbyist neocons have given way to freaks, unhinged freaks, but unhinged freaks with a very personal appeal. The way they talk, the way they phrase their
Exactly.
their appeal. Yeah, it's very much meant to cut through like the language of Washington and get right at people.
Yeah, it's like, some people are like interested in Trump because he talks dumb. Like the way, and I obviously you shouldn't talk the way like that's only going to apply to those specific group of people. But in a way, like to be effective, you need to speak in a way that's obviously not Trump level, but not the way that
From
they
the
talk.
heart.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
because he does. I mean, he's an idiot. He just goes with whatever's off the top of
Yeah,
his head.
but that's why it's effective.
Right. No, I mean, I saw this tweet today. This is half my streams. I saw this tweet today. Where a part of getting older is just learning to your own great embarrassment and humiliation, the validity of a bunch of trite phrases that you had dismissed as meaningless pap like decades ago. Follow your heart. Speak from the heart. It actually, unfortunately, like it's sickening, but it actually does make a difference. And I don't know. I mean, people are seeing it with Mamdani,
Yeah.
extreme, like ruthlessly efficient language,
Yeah.
but from right here.
I remember when you first started covering Mamdani, he was only at like 1%, like, and at that point he was just, like going around town in the streets, people were like kind of recording him, and he was just, he was talking about like some of those smaller things, the things that matter, and then relatively quickly he jumped up way high in the polls, and it's been a really like inspiring experience to see him start out like so relatively small, and now Democrats in Washington are scared.
Yeah, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I'll just say my mistake there. If I had really been on my game, if I had been better, I would have been talking about Mamdani when he was at 0%. I think that's my fault, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when it matters most to catch wind of these people. I think that was my fault because I've also been a little bit kind of bought in on the not bought in, I guess, but susceptible to the cynicism.
Yeah.
And
And it's easy to do that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're all trying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just hope that I'm able to find more opportunities to put myself out there and to really engage because I really want to make a difference in the world. And I feel like Progressive Victory is a really good place to start.
They're good people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming down here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And thank you both very much for driving it. Well, now that I'm an expert on canvassing and phone banking,
How do you want to handle it? You want to keep going, just keep talking? Do you want me to bring more people?
I do have a dinner appointment relatively soon, actually. Hold on just a moment. I can't disappoint my beautiful oh. Well, I have a few minutes more, I say. Please, yeah. You're also sitting up in the front row. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spoken to everyone in the front row. Hey,
get out there.
Have a wonderful time. Seriously,
Yeah.
thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Yeah. Oh, I actually need to deliver the lists because Artie left. Here, you can just steal my phone and I have the list here.
I can just talk. I'll just
unlock it.
talk.
Yeah.
Hi.
Give me one sec.
That's true. Howdy. It won't just be me talking.
It'll in fact be me also.
Howdy.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Love your
Long-
jacket.
Thank you. Long-time viewer, first-time interviewee.
Oh,
Yeah.
Better take it seriously.
I'm trying my best. It's been a bit of a couple days.
I really appreciate the work you all put into
Yeah.
putting this together. I think it went pretty well too.
I think it went great. We were thrilled to see the absolute turnout.
Yeah, can I say, and this might come across a little live streamery of me to say.
Oh, no.
You talk to a big audience and it's an abstraction. It's a number on a screen. It still feels odd sometimes to see a physical turnout. You know? Well, and the difference as well, right? Because you know in a broad sense, well, a lot of people are listening. They care. People are interested and so on. It means a lot more for people to get involved canvassing and phone banking. Not
like
to
to think
say
so, yeah.
a person ain't a real fan of mine unless they do that, but you're definitely more a fan of mine
I mean, like,
if you try.
I like to think that the Vosh audience is very good at like responding to an actual problem. Like in general, it seems like our community is very mobilized, in part because of the energy that you kind of supply them, and it's genuinely wonderful to see that all happen kind of in different places here and there. People will pop in and be like, I have this idea, or I have this thing I could do, or they pop in and do some other stuff. It's genuinely really cool.
No, I want people to pitch in with that attitude as well, because I'm just a YouTuber, right? The desire to improve your community should persist
Yes.
in absentia. I shouldn't have to be a part of that, or I should rephrase. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be a motivator for that.
Mhm.
But I'm 31. I'm unk. I'm gone soon. I'm gonna turn to dust.
Just ancient dino bones. The oil runs through your veins already.
There are a lot of young people who watch, and I know that they're going to get involved, and maybe 20 years from now they're going to still be involved, and potentially they're going to be involved at levels of local or state government, and they're going to be fighting to, and I'm not going to be following all of this, of course. I'm very lucky that in this case I'm in a city that has a good candidate, and I'm very, very happy to support her. And things worked out well in that respect. Certainly with getting to speak with her.
Yeah.
But I would hope that what I'm advocating for in the broadest sense is not ends based but means based. Getting involved locally should just be a thing that you do because it's good for you and because it's good for everyone.
Yeah. I was very there's like a couple things here that I find interesting. The first is that like I've been a viewer of yours for a while, and when PV first was being spun up, I was very invested. I'm like, the opportunity to have influence in my community and in the country at large. And fighting political apathy is genuinely like a great thing to do. But as I mentioned in my question earlier, I live in eastern Nebraska, where there is no desire for any change. I mean, there is some, right? There's some here and there, but just the level of mobilization, the level of civic engagement is kind of through the floor in the cities, because everybody knows that if you go out to vote, you vote, and then the rural people in the county surrounding you are all just going to make your vote not matter. It's a bit of a difficult thing to fight. I'm glad that like more and more people are. There is more civic engagement, but it's not everywhere.
It's rough. I've never been to America's heartland, so I haven't seen it myself.
It's very flat, and there's a lot of corn and soybeans.
I don't think I'd care much for the flatness. I like mountains a lot.
I also like mountains. I've lived all over the United States, and I crave the white peaks of the tops of the hills.
Oh, Rainier is beautiful, isn't it? Did you see it coming in?
Well, yes, I did. On the plane ride over, it was I looked out the window and I saw some of the mountains, and I'm like, oh my God, my home.
No, I see it. The Rainier and the Cascades broadly, and the Olympic Mountains, Olympia, absolutely stunning. Which is all tangential to the point that I was making, I suppose. Having not been to the heartland, I've been in I've driven up and down the West Coast, and there are plenty of places there that have a similar energy. Certainly, East Washington and Idaho are lacking in what I'd call, I guess, altruistic civic engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to speak lightly of it.
Yeah.
Oh no, please.
Well, I will say that like, it's as has been said a handful of times, like the people in like the heartland, right? Like the kind of conservatives that we all think of when we think of like the rural farmer. They kind of do. They definitely do exist, but it's weird. They vote against their own interests constantly and are like right now in a bit of a state of like disheartenment. Specifically, like my the maternal side of my family is entirely like farmers, and they're out in that area.
What a fun time to be an Alaskan farmer.
Oh yes, it is bad.
Not in soybeans, I hope.
Well, the soybeans are the #1 agricultural export of Nebraska, so everybody's doing great right now, and are very happy that Argentina is receiving, what was it, 20 billion? 40 billion. My bad. It's not fantastic. I don't like them. There's
Argentina.
Argentina, I'm ambivalent.
Okay. I didn't know if you were declaring war.
No.
I wanted to clarify.
I want to declare that everybody in eastern Nebraska should vote and do their best to get people mobilized.
It is a shame that it had to take that one specific wedge issue.
It's yeah.
Because I think because a lot of these communities are they're blighted, really, and I don't just mean that with regard to the character of the inhabitants or the conservatism or whatever. Like
the infrastructure's gone.
Right? No, there's not even like a template to build off of.
No.
For in all practical purposes, it's actually worse than newly discovered land because newly discovered land can be zoned and developed freely, whereas this has old leases and deeds that you would have to dig through to have even a chance at fixing anything.
Yeah. My farmer grandparents, they actually, after like 30 years, finally actually got the deed to the land that they built their house on. Like they got the physical deed. They didn't have it for a long time, which is bizarre. It's very, very strange because there's just like old ancient bureaucracy that no one kept up, because why would anyone keep it up?
Because no one cares.
No one
cares.
cares.
No outcomes here. Yeah. And a lot of I don't even think these people have like a vision of what better life would look like.
That's exactly true.
It's like the same as is, but like a little more money coming in.
Yeah, a little bit more money coming in. But at least for people in the more urban areas like I live in, the dream is to leave. We don't want to be there by and large because there's just this impending feeling of hopelessness and doom. And I like to think that progressive victory, having influence in campaigns across the country and helping to get a cool mayor elected, I think that could help theoretically boost that kind of engagement elsewhere.
No, I 100% agree. I think that it sounds a little bit defeatist, I think that there are some parts of America that are well and truly boned. And that's it's a consequence of a whole variety of factors. But you take a look at Seattle, and Seattle's got its problems. But there are solutions that could be applied here. But in a lot of places in America, there is neither the political wherewithal nor the money, not
Nor
even
the ambition.
a fraction of it, not even close to what would be needed So maybe those areas just aren't going to be around for long. Or maybe they're just going to continue to wither but be around in some half state. But there is always something somewhere that can be improved.
Yep.
Maybe if your house, your neighborhood, your city even can't, there are ambitions all around the country. And I never want to tell a person, right? Because in my position, I never want to say things won't improve unless you move. Because I think that's a horrible thing to say to a person, even if there are some areas of the country where that might be true more often than not, But I do want to say, if you ever choose to move, there are good people.
Don't let it happen where you go to.
Don't let it happen where you go. There are good people with good ambitions out there. You can be a part of something better. And those opportunities exist out there. And if that means driving, that young woman said she drove down from Puyallup. That's quite a drive. It speaks to an ambition that I think is lacking in those areas in aggregate. And I think that, I don't know, it kind of inspires me just to see the effort people are willing to put in.
Absolutely. It's inspiring to see the amount of effort and energy that is in PV, especially in the last little while. We have the big 5 initiatives going on. Everybody's phone banking every day. Everybody's trying to do local events where they can. It's genuinely quite wonderful.
It's no, I've heard they're even run like a goddamn what is it? This lady runs their McDonald's like the Navy. This Discord server is getting run like the Navy right now.
To a degree.
No? Okay, they could be harder on it. Okay, all right. PV should crack the whip harder.
PV should crack the whip harder, but in an attempt to do that, like the dues paying membership program has been a godsend, because one of the problems that we have is that it's not a problem necessarily, but we're an all volunteer org. No one's getting paid.
Right.
Our dues paying membership is currently enough to like keep all of our systems active, keep all of our everything going, and having more people be members and maybe increasing your membership level if possible, that genuinely will give us the amount of resources to reach and like centralize more resources and just get people where they need to go faster.
It's much more sustainable than doing donation drives.
Mhm.
Membership is the way that these organizations have always been run anyway. From the IWW to the DSA, it takes money to keep these things afloat. And God, PV runs so lean too.
We do.
I'm not privy. Yeah, they're all grown, and I'm not. Privy
Everybody
to
in the audience just went like, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, because I get emails that should be sent to you, because I talk about PV often enough. People sometimes make the mistake of assuming that I have any decision making.
BGL at progress.win. Stop bothering Vosh.
Yeah, it's
or bother me, Jenny at progress.win.
Yeah, they say, well, here's a candidate you could look at. I'm like, well, you've got to talk to PV. I don't know anything about the internals of PV. I only hear testimony. People who work there, people who, and overwhelmingly, it's really good. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to direct people over there.
Really happy to be doing the work, and thank you again for putting Progressive Victory like so high on some of your priority lists at the very least. It's been wonderful having to see all the people who kind of get some of the in jokes and kind of know some of the ancient lore, as it are.
Yeah, I would hope, of course, that when and that's always been my worry, right? Like the more I direct people over, I would never ever want people to think that PV was like a part of like me or my brand or my content or anything. In large part because, and this is an important part of like PV as a concept, right? I'm a fucking live streamer, right? I'm not responsible. I don't respond to emails on time, not in the same day, week, or sometimes even month. I have no organizational skills. I'm very, very limited in what I can do well. And I try, and you know what? I think I'm optimizing pretty well within that field, which is what you should do, right? If you're a fish that's good at swimming upriver, right? That's the shit you should be doing to lay eggs. When it comes to PV, though, the work that it takes to manage these canvassing and phone banking, beyond me. And I don't envy it, any of the organizational work. Though I know there are people who are better, accustomed or better, better built. They're built different, right? As some folks in the room built different, and they can handle it better. So basically, if you got any questions, you got to direct it to the PV people, folks. I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know what I'm doing in my own life. I don't plan any of my streams or schedule anything. I don't have a schedule. I don't schedule the segments. I just wake up and I think, how bad of a mood am I in today? And will I let that affect the streams? I think about whether I'm going to wear the green shorts or the camo green shorts. These are like the limits of what I am capable of.
Mm. Yeah. Diversity of tactics, as you say on occasion.
Extremely important.
Yeah.
It's been a delight to talk to you.
Thank you very much. It's been a delight to talk to you. It's very cool to see you in person. You are taller than I thought you would be.
Ah, good. I'd hate to hear the opposite.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, though certainly not the first time I've heard from you. Have I not?
I don't think I've ever talked to you before. I mean,
swear
other than that over there.
Did I not have a meet, like a group call before? I'm almost
I think
positive
I asked a question.
That must have been it.
That's
Okay.
what it was. For like the first minute. That's right. God, oh man, that feels like 8 million years ago.
I really hope she wins.
I hope she wins too.
I mean,
the room is empty because everybody's out there doing it right now.
I'll tell the stream. I mean, the stream's here. I'll tell them I'm being bullied. The numbers are favorable. She did well in the jungle primary.
Very well.
Very well. She won by nearly 10 points, right?
I think that's right.
Yeah. So I mean I feel like,
And I would like to think that she has a better ground game than Harold.
well, I haven't been bothered by anyone working for Carol, and I have been bothered by Katie Wilson folks, so there's that. I've also only seen a couple of Bruce Harrell signs around the place, and I've seen Katie Wilson signs are all up and down Cap Hill, U District, Fremont, not Bellevue, sorry, never Bellevue. I was going to say Ballard, Eastlake, and I've seen some downtown too.
I will say the democracy voucher system that you guys have here is phenomenal.
Brilliant, right?
It's like the moment I heard about it, it was crazy. What? Yeah, I was about to say like Progressive Victory, due to like phone banking efforts that we've been doing, we've confirmed that Progressive Victory volunteers have helped raise about like $10,000 through democracy vouchers for Katie's campaign.
Nice.
Yeah. That's like the lowball estimate.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't actually know how the system works exactly. I only know that it's
well, I did some phone banking, so I
fairly
could tell you.
democratic apportionment.
Yeah,
for
I believe. But yeah, I believe that the system works, but for the people at home who don't live in Seattle like me, the system works by if everybody who lives in Seattle, I think, got 2 democracy vouchers, $100 worth of democracy vouchers, and they could apportion them to whichever candidate they so wished. And Progressive Victory, we got a lot of people to direct those democracy vouchers towards candidates, and I believe that's the only way that candidates could be funded in this. No, there's a you can from the audience, you can either take democracy vouchers or take donations, and it seems like Katie's been getting the good.
Bruce was able to make up the difference plus the PAC contributions,
Yep.
but Katie was
Yep.
able to get way more money than she
Oh,
would
yeah.
have in any other, like pretty much anywhere else.
Oh, yeah.
Just really nice. No, it's a lovely state. You know, it's a shame that one of the most regressive elements of it, the lack of a state income tax, is you know. Listen, if she implements a state income tax, but it begins one bracket above where I am, then the support will be continued. And if it's even an inch below, we will have problems.
As long as if Benjamin comes here, they tax him more. That's what matters.
Oh, that's near certain. I have to say, I'm actually surprised that Seattle, this area, isn't as much of an influencer hub, considering the tech and the no state income tax. You'd think it'd be a no-brainer for a lot of the people who work in my field.
You would think, but
they're all in Texas.
They're all in Texas. Well, because a lot of them are conservative types.
Texas and Florida, yeah. It's I guess a lot of them are in LA and New York as well, but that's just like cultural.
That's where
that's just
everybody
cultural
is.
capital.
Yeah.
It's just they're gonna accumulate there anyway. I don't know why there aren't more here. Certainly, the weather's better here than it is in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
They know this is a Vosh turf, so they're scared.
Maybe. I know. I mean, Northern Lions up in Vancouver, but that's a whole different country.
That's a whole different
It
country.
probably gets taxed and stuff.
He probably does.
That's awful.
I'm just a humble engineer, sir. I get taxed the normal amount.
Well,
What? Humble's is okay.
better than me.
Yeah, Nebraska.
You're
also,
getting roasted by the audience.
I get roasted by Benjamin constantly. It's kind of our deal.
Well, considering the amount of work you guys put out, I think it's.
I think we deserve a little bit
yeah,
of it.
you get the cutaway.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you one more time.
One more time.
Yeah.
We made it happen.
We
twice.
did.
Like,
We
that
did.
Was a solid,
I'm a
didn't even
Midwesterner.
feel-
I give the Midwestern goodbye.
It didn't
always.
even feel like a trail off, though.
didn't
That was
even.
like a solid. You know what I mean?
And we're about to do it again.
Oh shit. I think that I need to be considerate of my dinner appointment later on. But I believe I was to speak with somebody else after things are cut.
Oh, Jimmy? Yeah. Our wonderful stately Jimmy.
Yeah.
I'm back after having to attend to my duties.
Howdy.
But hello. Good to be up here.
Happy to have you here.
Yeah. Well, how's it going?
That's going pretty well. I don't normally do in-person events.
Yeah.
This one's gone quite well, I'd say. By the standard of the most rowdy one I ever did was this libertarian conference back in Nashville in 2021, which and funny side tangent, I didn't know anything about clothing back then, but I bought some cheap, suit supply. No, not even Men's Warehouse suit. There are pictures. It doesn't fit good, whatever. But I didn't have any dress shoes, right? So I Googled dress shoe store, and this is me just into streaming. I'm flush with cash. Brick and mortar, downtown Seattle, right? Alden shoes. What do they got there, right? All their shoes, $500, $600, $700, whatever. I'm wearing a $90 suit and $600 shoes that don't fit me because I'm an idiot. Up to Nashville. Where I go over there largely to be approached by lovely fans of myself and the streamer known as Destiny, and also to be heckled by libertarians. It was a great time.
Fun.
But I think this has gone better.
Yeah.
Altogether.
By some miracle. I think I've put like 40 hours into PV this week to
Really? Okay.
make this
well,
happen.
make
as a
sure you're
college student,
drinking
but-
water and eating food.
Oh
That's-
yeah. Well, not during this event, but usually I'm pretty good about doing it. But yeah, it has been pretty crazy putting all this together. There's been a lot of up and downs. The We Are So Back, It's So Over cycle is truly endless.
Can I challenge you on this?
Sure.
Okay, because I talked before about activism as a lifestyle, right? If Katie Wilson loses, will you regret the work you've put in?
I've put in no.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, I've put in as best I can. I've my volunteers at PV, of course you helping us, like it's put so much work.
Oh, to be clear, I don't mean
And-
to say,
oh,
will
yeah,
you
yes.
regret not having worked more?
Gotcha.
What I mean is like,
Okay.
will you think, oh well, it wasn't worth it to have put the effort in at all because she ended up losing.
Right. Well, definitely not for this because it's so close. So like, if we don't try, then what are we even doing? But even for like some other races where it's like pretty obvious beforehand that we aren't gonna win, it's still usually worth putting in the effort because it builds up the support for progressives in the next one. It builds up our infrastructure and our ability to do things, and it gets volunteers active and knowing what they're doing. So even if you don't win, it's still good to organize. And yeah,
It's the big mistake. It's the big mistake. A lot of people, I think the Democrats do this in red and purple states where they're like, well, the odds are 40-60 on this one, so we're not going to kick any money, and that's how you lose ground over the long term. You have to be there all the time, fighting every fight. And I think, and people do really downplay the cumulative benefits, of being an activist known in a community, of developing those personal skills of every person whose mind might be changed, even if that didn't overturn this election, it could make a difference in the next one. I think people really understate it, Yeah. Oftentimes these big seismic shifts, like this is an example I like to use. These big shifts that we see in public opinion are not born of some like one and done massive campaign to change everyone's mind. As a matter of fact, it almost never works that way. Take gay marriage, for example. Even today, support for gay marriage is overwhelmingly popular. It's a divided issue even among the Republicans, even though it's remained at least in terms of their state policy charters, something they've opposed for a while. But that wasn't because of some big campaign, one big push or whatever. That was just, it was so aggressively normalized for such a length of time by so many people that eventually you just wake up and everyone's saying it.
Yeah.
You never had your mind changed. The pot around you has already gotten warm, my friend.
Yeah. And even on the flip side, where we win, then a lot of times energy just dies down and no one does anything because, we're done. We won. What do we do now? But like I asked Katie earlier, how can we continue to support and carry this energy to help you keep winning in the future, or be successful in delivering your priorities? And a big part of PV is one, organizing, but also just providing a community for people to stick around in and have a good time. And when we do a big push, they'll still be active, they'll still be around. And even in the off season, then there'll still be people active and willing to go and do things when they are needed to be done.
It's kind of like diet and exercise, Like if you go on some harebrained hell diet or whatever, and you lose some weight in some length of time, but you can't sustain it. Eventually, you're going to gain the weight back. Versus, am I going to continue eating a brick of fudge every day? Can I in some way reduce that and make it a lifestyle change? And maybe you can. I couldn't, but it's the only stuff that matters is the stuff you can stick to. Even Katie Wilson, you get what, 4, maybe 8 years in the long run. In 1,000 years, we'll all be dead, right? What matters in the long run isn't just Katie Wilson's victory. It's about establishing a culture in Seattle such that the next time there won't even be a Bruce Harrell on the ballot.
Yeah.
Katie Wilson, a Katie Wilson, if not the Katie Wilson, their victory will be basically a foregone conclusion. The question is, are they going to get replaced by an even more Katie Wilson? A Katier Wilson, one might say. I don't know. And these changes are possible. We've seen them play out in the long run. Sometimes it's just hard to appreciate it because our lives are only so long. But we don't have candidates running on segregation or slavery anymore. There are changes that happen. It's just now they feel like, they feel like lost cause issues, basically. Of course, no one's talking about that. Well, 70 years ago, they were,
Yeah.
There is a worth in trying.
Yeah, there is. And to that point where, we're all going to die in 1,000 years. A lot of times when there's people that aren't very into electoralist politics, which, I kind of help run an electoral organization. So I have to talk to these people all the time.
You have to fight them. You have to punch
I have to fight them. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, well, what's the point? We're descending into fascism anyways. What's the point of voting to Democrats when it's, they aren't effective in the long run? Well, so are you just going to sacrifice the next 4-8 years? And because it's not going to work out in the long run, we have to keep fighting. We can't just let, fascism
It's learned helplessness.
Yeah.
You are weaponizing the true facts that things are bad right now and that the future does look a little bleak, at least for a while, to excuse not doing anything. But God, imagine if you will, the tenacity of the humble Republican neo-Nazi staffer, right? A lot of these freaks who work at a local level, they're very, very far right. And a lot of them have had to stay quiet for years, for decades even. But now, through tenacity and through a favorable administration, they've been getting louder and louder than ever. And it sounds like a satirical point, but genuinely, this shocking, unthinkable schism, this political paradigm shift, which would have been incomprehensible a decade ago. A decade ago, is now possible in large part because people bided their time and waited. And if people can do that for something as stupid as Nazism or whatever positions they hold, as destructive as that, the idea that people can't hold water for those ideas when it comes to helping homeless people, cleaning up trash, if you can't hold out for those issues even when times are a bit bleak, I just don't think you believe in them that much, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or at least you don't have a good mentality for approaching them.
And with that, Nazis infiltrating the Republican Party and just waiting there until they can build their power, we can do the same thing with progressives in the Democratic Party. We can get people into the lower levels of the party and eventually shift the culture that way.
I mean, the insane thing is, like, we don't even have to be quiet. Like the idea, and this is to me like conceptually offensive, right? In the culture of the Democratic Party, it's that the ideas that we're talking about, that we're advocating for here, are so broadly. I mean, depending on how you poll people, even stuff like Medicare for All is pretty popular. I understand that a lot of these ideas, maybe they're difficult to implement, or there are disagreements about how exactly to handle it. But this is, at its root, right? Accessible politics. How should the money be used? How should it be obtained? How should it be taxed? They're not these like obscene internet, whateverisms, these ideologies, if they can even be called that. But people are so tuned out. Sometimes it feels like it's all leveled down to the same field. You have the people in power, you have the establishment, the corporate class, whatever, and then everyone else is just scrambling around. I do think, in spite of all the influence money has in politics, there is a real weight to public opinion. I think that we have neglected that force for a long time, and that, I mean, canvassing is easily the best way to build it up from a grassroots perspective. But it only works if people like believe in that.
Yeah.
And it's why I don't have much patience for that kind of cynicism. I think it's very destructive.
Yeah, and like there's so much you can do behind the scenes for shifting this in different orgs, like Progressive Victory. Like I could, you don't really know a lot what's goes on in the org, and maybe I could provide some background.
No. The less I know, the better.
Fair. But yeah, there are just so many things people can do to make things better, and there's also room for direct action as well. Like I get not everyone is a fan of electoralism, and I think electoralism is very worthwhile, and it's what I'm good at, so it's what I do. But there is also room for like doing direct action and mutual aid and going to protests and stuff like that. There's room for all kinds of activism. So even if someone isn't a fan of electoralism and they're still going and doing something, then I'm not going to be too upset at them.
Yeah. No, 100%. And also the way you do electoralism through canvassing is fundamentally very similar to the way you do any other kind of activism. The skills that you benefit from and that you build as a canvasser are very, very similar to the skills that you would need as a regular activist.
Yeah.
Katie Wilson was and is an activist, right? And the Rider Transit Union that she has worked through, fundamentally these skills, it's just about working with people. Yeah. Whether you do it in or out of government, electoralism, it's not this like distinct mode of engagement. It's a medium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. And you also build a lot of connections and really great friends through doing this as well. So it really improves your life. And there's this clip where someone explains that lefties really, they are very depressed if they don't do anything. They just sit in the news and are depressed because nothing is going right. But if they actually go out and do something, even if they're more immersed in all of the bad things going on, they're still much happier than those who don't do anything because they're trying their best. They're actually doing something about the problems going on. So getting active is, one of the best things you can do for your mental health and your life.
Yeah. If you go out there and clean up trash around a busy overpass, no matter how much trash you had to clean up, you will probably feel better at the end of the day than you would have had you just thought about it while driving by.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak.
Yeah, thanks for speaking. Have a good
one.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, I think I've talked about damn near every human alive at this point. May I close it off? All right. Well, I have to go and take my stream key back from these PV folks before they use it to do whatever with my channel. So love you all very much. Thank you for taking the time. And I'd like to say one more time that if you're interested in signing up with PV or just supporting them in what they do, that membership card is awfully pretty. Like I said, a great bang for your buck. Plastic, what can you do with that? Well, you can toss it at me. Yeah. You can open up a door. Like if you forget your keys, now I've got two. I hope that you two can separate these. I've got a red one. We've got more. There's many of them in this room, I assume. I forgot mine, and mine's red. I should be clear. Yes, I don't know whose is whose. Yeah, here, everyone. There you go. I believe. Yeah, there you go. Really though, I do mean it. It's not just like a little gimmick. PV runs awfully lean, They're not taking any fancy trips to Tijuana off of this money. Not yet. If Katie Wilson gets elected, who knows? So help if you can. To everyone who's watched, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. They're probably going to cut the feed now. See you on stream.